I cannot believe that we only have one more book left. Oh my god, that's crazy. That's crazy pants. Today, we are going to be covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9th book in the Aethelus series, Beautiful Stranger. I do think Anna deserves to shoot Ben Berenbaum. I do believe that with my heart of hearts. This guy sucks. I'm curious if they pick up on Mike. That guy sucks. Like, he can't. At the end of the last book, Ben goes on this whole diatribe about how he needs Anna. He wants Anna. He craves Anna. He can't imagine doing life with anyone else but Anna. Anna's the one. And then the moment there is any kind of pushback against his kind of undercooked, not well thought out dream, he just eviscerates her. Like, it's not like Anna's saying, like, oh my god, I need Ben, I want Ben, I crave Ben. She is, but like, he went and told friends this out loud with his human man mouth and then proceeds to be a jackass. The worst. The worst. So let's read the back of the book. If you have to ask, you'll never be on the A-list. Anna decides to take an end-of-summer getaway to get away from drama-filled LA life. So she packs her Louis Vuitton and grabs her close friend Sam and heads to the Big Apple. Between trips to the Met and shopping at Bindle's, the girls are living the A-list life on Anna's home turf. But their trip isn't exactly a vacation. Sam is here to spy on Eduardo and decode his recent strange behavior. Will she discover what she discovers send her hopping on the next private jet back to Beverly Hills? And who is the beautiful stranger who appears on Anna's beautiful East Side doorstep? Anna begins to wonder whether she wants to head back west again, especially since Ben seems to have moved on with someone who isn't a stranger at all. When it comes to the A-list, there's drama coast to coast. Now this one, I feel, is a book about growth. And are all the books about a book about growth? The last set have been. This is about not making the same mistakes your mother would have made. That sometimes being your mom is bad, actually. You really have to get out of the waters that you respond in to really grow. For Anna, this is an Anna and Sam book, like Girls on Film was, and we have round the circle. I wish we could have gotten a whole year, a whole 12 months worth out of these books, but I understand where we are. We're approaching the end. Okay. This love decahedron will need to be rebuilt and changed. We start off with a bang. I think this is a really good final set of books. Because we start off, it's got the filler, but we start off hot. We are finally at the rap party. We're finally at the rap party for Ben-Hur, and Anna is there with Sam is there with Eduardo, and Cammy is there alone. Womp womp. And Cammy walks out of the party and is like, calls up Adam and is like, we're done. I did it. I divorced my wife. I told my wife about you. We're getting a divorce. Who are you? She's like, you weren't here. By the time I asked you to be here, we're done. He doesn't even answer the phone, I think. So they're done. And so she's done with him, which makes her kind of a bitch to Sam, but whatever. So now she's a free agent. Anna, who went with Kane pretty close after, she's like, it leaves the party to get a breath of fresh air. And Ben takes her on this fuck-ass walk and is like, I've been doing a lot of thinking, which a man like him should never be doing that much thinking. His thoughts that he's been thinking with the head that shouldn't be thinking is that he should open his own nightclub. That he should skip going back to Princeton and open his own nightclub. He goes to this area and is like, this would be perfect. It's gonna be perfecto. And Anna's like, haha, yeah. Because, like, you don't want to come off as a bitch. But, baby, you're talking crazy to me. You can't talk crazy to me. I'm Anna. I'm so serious. The next morning, Kane calls her and is like, hey, remember that bitch that I told you was my first love who broke my heart? She's back. And I want to try it with her. I want to give it a chance with her. Because I know, when your first love reappears, you should take it. Like you and Ben. And she's like, heard. Understood. Say less, King. And so she breaks off with Kane. And then Ben is like, come here to see this area that I've scoped out for the nightclub. Isn't it great? And Anna's like, how are you going to pay for this? And he's like, my dad owes me one because of his addictions. And he keeps saying since he's been in AA that he's like a changed man and all this bullshit. This boy can't rent a car. He only has to do one scroll back on a add your year thing for picking your birth year when you're signing up for things. Like, you are young. And, like, you have the chance to have such a good life if you just go to Princeton. If you just wait another couple years. But he doesn't want to wait. He wants to do it now. Now, guys, now. This guy sucks. The dad gets there. They're walking around. He's talking about all the shit he's going to do. He's going to be so fucking great. And then he's like, Dad, what do you think? Will you give me $4 million? White people are so crazy. And his dad's like, ha 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 ha. No. Anna, back me up here. And Anna's like in her head like, ha 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 ha. No. And it's like, well, you have a lot of good ideas, but I just don't think this is the right thing to do. And he blows up at her. Like, first off, argues with his dad. His dad leaves. He angrily drinks a beer, blows up at her, calls her a coward and a snake and a deceiver, two-faced, and then is like, you can go. And she's just like sitting there traumatized. And she's like at lunch with Sam the next morning. And is like, I gotta go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't wanna. And you know what? Correct. I don't think they could have formulated a better reason to get that bitch out of LA than be like, Ben says he fucking hates you and you're a bitch and everything you've ever tried to do you failed at. And you've never tried to do anything unless you're immediately good at it. Bitch. I read part of this, I believe, at home, but a good portion of this I read on a road trip I went on this year. And the entire time I'm just like, I'm sorry, I gotta pause the music. Fuck Ben! Fuck Ben, indeed. So she's like, I gotta get out of here. And Sam's like, you know what? I'll come with you because of her plot point, which we'll get to. So Anna goes on a little side quest in which she takes Sam along to meet her friends. Sin, we finally get some extended Sin scenes. We see, like, as Anna interacts with some girls she used to go to school with and how they treat her and how she realizes how she's changed, how much she's grown and how she can now recognize the, like, name dropping of LA and how it's the same as the name dropping in New York, but it's with intellectuals instead of artists. And actors and celebritas. And she's like, I thought I was better than these people, and I'm just as bad as these LA people. Her New York friends are kind of mean to Sam, and they treat her like she's dumb. And, like, her accomplishments and her going to UCLA instead of, like, an Ivy League makes her dumb and bad and stupid. And Anna has less tolerance for it now. But kind of more important, Anna meets up with boy Anna. Liam? Aiden? Says he looks like Daniel Craig's son. You'll know his name in a second. And he is boy Anna. He's smart and fun, but not an asshole. His family own a whole bunch of resorts elsewhere, and he's going to Harvard. Yale is for girls, and Harvard is for boys. They reconnect, and while Sam is doing her plot, Anna goes on dates with him, where they really rekindle, kind of to an embarrassing degree, all the things from their time together in elementary school. and how he is, he remembers he was her first kiss, how every field trip they went on, and recreating that kind of comfortable magic. It comes to the point in which Anna, because part of the reason why Anna is there a week early, 2 weeks early before classes start, is that there is this mixer for the incoming students, and Anna goes. Anna goes to hers and has a terrible time. Mean kids from her prior school at Trinity are there, and they're even worse. The girl she was sitting next to is like weird and caustic. Her roommate is just a freaky deaky weird alternative girl. And Anna is just like, this is what I've always wanted. This is what I've always known. This is what I want to do. So it's time to do it. And so she leaves the mixer and she meets up with Guy, and he's like, I had a time as well. And in the subsequent dates they go on, she thinks he's about to be like, oh my God, I love you. I want you. Because she's kind of feeling that way too. And he's like, Anna, I have to tell you something. And she's like, hold my hand while you say it. And he's like, I don't want to go to Harvard. I can't do it. I'm deeply unhappy and I'm deeply unsatisfied. She's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to go work with my dad at his hotels. Harvard will always be waiting for people like me, but I just need to get out there and explore and follow my bliss. And my bliss is not here. I am going to be miserable here. And she's like, oh, and she's like, okay, So they resolve to keep seeing each other, to see each other a couple more times. Anna goes home for another plot point. She comes to the opening of Ben's club with surprise guest. She's like, I'm not having a good time. She's like, I'm going to leave. And she's like, what would my mother do? What would my good breeding mother tell me to do? Which is go to the host, say, thank you so much for having me, and leave. And when she walks up on her hosts, they are kissing, and Anna has a fun little freak out and is like, oh, she leaves the party. Boy McBoyface is like, Anna, he runs into her at the party and is like, Anna, I wanted to tell you, I want you to come to Bali with me. He's like, I have a ticket for you. I want you to come. And she's like, no. And so when she flees, she goes to the airport and does something impulsive that she's never done before and gets on the plane with him. Bye, Anna. Bye, Anna. Bye, LA. Bye, Anna. Your first breakup can make you do crazy things, kids. So, Sam's plot. So, Sam and Eduardo have been moving pretty hot and heavy pretty quickly, and she gets a text from him. Okay, so Cammy breaks up with Adam at the party. They go to Pilates the next morning. Eduardo texts Sam and is like, I need to talk to you about something serious. Show up at this place. See you tomorrow. Doesn't give her a lot of information. She starts spiraling. Cammy, who's a bitch, is like, well, he must be breaking up with you. And Sam's like, oh God, he must be breaking up with me. Because Cammy just got broken up with and it's made her rotten again. So Sam shows up at this location clearly ready to soothe her broken heart after whatever happens. And what happens is a proposal. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. She says yes. Sam is 18. Eduardo is maybe 20. They've known each other for 5 months. What? So she says yes, of course. And she goes to fuck her new fiance and think about the future when Anna has her freak out and is like, I gotta get out of here. The morning of after, as they're rolling about together, Eduardo gets a call and is like, I'm needed in New York. Don't follow me. She's like, so of course I'm gonna follow, because why don't you want me to be there? The implication is that he's cheating. So when Anna's like, I gotta get out of here. I can't be here anymore. Sam is like, why don't we go together? I can go snoop Eduardo and keep an eye on you, and you can go to New York and get this out of your system and forget about Ben, because we are friends and we're not gonna have that much time left together after this. I love girls. They take Jackson's private plane to New York and hijinks ensue. So while Anna is doing whatever she's doing with Paul, Does his name start with an A? I don't know. Well, she's doing her plot. Sam is going to the embassy to talk to him, trying to get herself invited to state dinners to talk to him. He's finally talking to her again, and they're seeing each other. They've gone to dinner a couple of times, and Anna's like, well, he's very traditional, so maybe it's just inappropriate to introduce someone as your fiance, even if you haven't told the parents yet, and all these reasons that make sense to me because my brain's fully formed, but I am understanding why it would be suspicious to Samantha. So she goes into this bar and finds Eduardo with that bitch. Giselle, who designed the fashion show outfits for Heart of Glass. Excuse me. So they're beefing. And by beefing, I mean she's like, fuck you, bitch. Gives back the ring, is pissed. They both flee back to New York. While her and Anna are sulking around, she gets a courier filled with wedding dress designs because Eduardo was going to have Giselle design the wedding dress for her as a surprise, which I feel like is a controlling man thing. I don't like it. Everything can't be about me. Everything cannot be about Megan and Megan's thoughts and Megan's wants. I don't like that, man. Dee goes to Hawaii. That's it. She gets fucked in Hawaii with Jack. She goes to Hawaii. We don't even hear from her for most of the book. She's in Hawaii. Let's do Cammy, okay? So Cammy breaks up with Adam. She goes to Pilates with Sam, leaving Pilates. Adam shows up and goes, I tried to call you last night. And he goes, I blocked you. I don't love you anymore. You didn't do what I said. You didn't jump when I said jump. So you didn't. We're broken up. And like, that's fucked up to be like, you didn't jump when I jump. But I don't know. They're 18. They shouldn't be putting that much weight into these relationships anyway. But I think you really have to take a hard look at what you value in life. And if you valued Michigan and the great outdoors more than you value your girlfriend, then that's what you picked and you have to stand on that. But he's like, I don't like it when you think that you just have ultimate control over me and you say jump and I say how high. I'm a person with my own wants and needs and I didn't want to come home yet. And she's like, well, we're not together anymore. Scram, Adam Flood. So he's left to be like, crazy how Adam has not been a character since Back in Black, really. Like, I think he stopped being a character somewhere in here. He bye-byes out of the plot for the most part. So Cammy's a free agent and she's looking to hurt Anna because she's hurt. Fuck them. So she goes and meets up with Ben because she hears through the gossip vine that Anna and Ben are on the outs and that Ben wants to start a club. She's feeling horny and also advantageous after her strides to win with champagne. And she's like, you know what? I have 20 million in a trust fund. Oh, why don't I give you some of it? And we can draw it up with our lawyers and I can be an investor on your club. And Ben's like, really? She's like, yeah. So they're now doing that. Cammy is like, yeah, I'll give you the money. So she cashes in some favors. She uses some favors to get this club off the ground. And then a water main breaks and everything's ruined. And she goes to her dad and is like, what do you think we should do, Dad? And he's like, I'm going to help you guys fix it. And he gets his talent to come and do some charity work to get everything built back up and everyone like working together. And Clark is like, there's a reason why I liked you, Ben. And the entire time Ben and Cammy are like, we could be so much better together this time. But they're not kissing, they're just flirting. It's everything's so emotionally raw. And like Cammy wants to be like, Anna's an asshole. Like Ben's like, Anna's not an asshole. But he still doesn't want to admit that what he said was fucking wrong. That man so much. So they do things like they have to get a DJ, one of the most notable DJs in the city. and they don't get him. So they problem solve that with something even cooler. You know, they've got this car automotive shop. They've got all these cool cars. They have like places where mini plays can be happening and all that good stuff. It's a really like thought out idea. They even got Beyonce DJing. Could you imagine? Could you imagine pre-Sasha Fierce Beyonce DJing? Crazy work. They do the damn thing. They're feeling pretty good on opening night. All their friends have been invited. They're kissing. They start kissing. Anna walks up. Kimmy's like, fuck you, bitch. But guess what also happens? Adam catches Cammy and Ben kissing, and he straight up sucker punches Ben. Fuck your chicken strips. Bah! Mink, 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 mink. He gets removed by security, and Kimmy's like, oh my god, you're such a dickhead. End of book. So I'm gonna write it on the board. We've kind of got an interesting setup as far as the split locations of the story, and because of the split. So let's get into the book. Beautiful Stranger. Because I hate myself. Yes, I did. New York was real, and California was not. 'Twas ever thus. Lauren Bacall. One of my favorite bad bitches. There are many things that Anna Percy loved. Classic novels written in the 19th century, the antique diamond studs handed down from her grandmother, the idea that a person, if she really wanted to, could to reinvent herself. But at this moment, she wondered if that thing she loved the most might not be slow dancing with Ben Birnbaum. They're at the show. They're at the rap party in Culver City for Ben-Hur. So if they're at the thing, they're dancing around with Ben. She's in love with him. But then Cammy had made it quite clear that if she broke up with her current boyfriend, Adam Flood, that she was going after Ben. And in general, what Cammy Shepard wanted, Cammy Shepard got. She would have no qualms about jumping into bed, table, locked bathroom stall at a trendy club, or whatever, with Ben. Every time Anna thought about it, she felt as though she couldn't breathe. There she is, Sam suddenly exclaimed. Anna looked over to see Cammy sashay over to Ben, wrap her arms around his neck, and give him the softest, tiniest of kisses on the cheek. Ben looked amused. Anna forced a tense smile. She thought, though, she wished a movie extra in a gorilla suit would come in with a coconut cream pie and apply it directly to Cammy's freshly powdered and lipsticked face. But in a world to which Anna had been born and bred, the gracious world of the This Is How We Do Things, Big Book, East Coast Wasp Edition, the display of any kind of negative emotion publicly was simply not done. And even with the help of a costumed extra, see Chapter 11, The Art of Ignoring. Where's Adam? Sam asked. Eduardo slid his arm around her waist from behind, and Sam beamed. He'll be here, Cammy replied confidently. Anna knew that Cammy had given Adam, who was in Michigan on vacation with his parents, an ultimatum. He needed to be back in LA in time for the rap party or the relationship would be toast. However bitchy this sounded, Anna recalled that it was extension of her dictum that Adam get his ass back to her 2 weeks ago. Anna couldn't imagine forcing someone she loved to make that kind of decision. But then again, she could only imagine being Cammy Shepard. She couldn't imagine being Cammy Shepard at all. Only Cammy would look at an ultimatum extension as generous. And she would decide ahead of time that if things didn't work out with Adam, she was going after Ben. Dee and Jack are going to Hawaii. Anna notes that the last time she heard about their relationship, Dee was feeling smothered by Jack. But the author decided that plot point was not worth following. Fuck Aaron. He's dead to us. Bye. Ben's like, oh my god, let's go on a little wackies to get away from the party. From where they walked across the transnational lot, a collection of low-slung buildings, streets with false storefronts used for filming, warehouses, and one ultra-modern structure that the company's corporate headquarters, and then out the main gate and onto the scruffy streets of Culver City. Los Angeles was filled with uber hip neighborhoods. Culver City wasn't one of them. It was better known for auto body repair shops and used furniture outlets than a Porsche dealership or designer storefronts. I'm thinking about not going back to school. Anna stopped walking and gazed up at him. What? Why? Well, don't laugh at what I'm about to say. Never. I've been thinking about that I'd like to open my own club. Anna looked at him wordlessly. a club. He wanted to drop out of college and open his own nightclub, but Ben was so smart and he hated Hollywood. He just said he was sick of the industry parties. Running a Hollywood club would be like doing industry parties 7 nights a week. When did you get this idea? I've had it for a while. He let go of one hand and tucked his own into a pocket of his tux pants. I get really excited about it, you know? Not another beautiful people. Let's keep everyone out of the valley. People. Let's keep out everyone from the valley bullshit kind of club. Something entirely different. One that's accessible and just cool. I just sit in class at Princeton and my mind is a million miles away. I study, take exams, write papers, and I just don't even know why I'm doing it. Being there doesn't make any sense. But maybe it doesn't need to make any sense right now. And I put in maybe becoming an educated person is the goal in itself. I mean, but I just don't feel it, Anna, he insisted. The best thing I've done in Well Forever is start the Monday series at Treast. That's what I care about. And when was the last time you saw me so excited about something that isn't you? Ever since my dad started Gamblers Anonymous, he's been an entirely different person. He took me out to dinner last week and told me he wanted us to make up for lost time. He said that whatever my dreams were, he was going to back them 100%. And that came after a 20-minute monologue about how my grandfather made a lot of money in rag and junk business back in Syracuse, but never backed him in anything. Of course, everything he'd achieved on his own. He even paid for med school on his own. College will always be there. I can go back later, but right now, I really want to do this, and with my father's backing, I can. I know he'll support me. He never wants to repeat what his dad did to him. So, what do you think? What did she think? She thought he'd probably go back to school. But what did she think? She thought he should probably go back to school. But could she possibly be the one to dim the light she saw in his eyes? Besides, this was probably just one of his idle fantasies, like the plans she had made in her imagination for weekends in Manhattan with him. She knew that, if anything, Ben would probably just need to talk it through. Eventually, he'd realize that dropping out of school wasn't a realistic plan. I think it's fantastic, she pronounced, which is her biggest mistake. Maybe you could do it someplace that no one else would think of, not North Hollywood Boulevard or Los Feliz. Someplace different to show the club that the club would be different. Right, because you're such a club kid. And so then they talk about the club and where he's going to do it. And she's hyping him up and being like, yeah, baby, that's such a good idea. Ugh. Don't do that. We could call the club Lovesick or something. How about the body shop? Anna joked, pointing a slender finger at the weedy, garbage-strewn property. He rubbed the stubble in his chin. How about it? She'd seen that look on his face before. You're not serious. Why not? It would certainly be unique. Of course, its name sounds like a strip joint, but maybe that could work in our favor. You are serious. Maybe I am. It would take a ton of work, but... He looked at her earnestly. But I'd be willing to do it. I really want this, Anna. Maybe it's crazy, but all I can say is I never really feel this rush when I'm at school. And don't say it's because I'm only going to be a sophomore. She leaned close to his ear and whispered, like I said, I think this is fantastic. His lips met hers in the softest of kisses, and then he kissed her again harder, drawing her in close and holding her tight. But as their lips met, the small part of her brain that was still functioning couldn't get beyond the fact that if Ben did stay here to open a club, in just 3 weeks she'd be starting college 3,000 miles away. From Yale to Princeton might have been doable, especially for a couple that was just dating. But from Los Angeles to New Haven, relationships had died over less, and the thought made her truly lovesick. Frankly, their first section of relationship failed over that distance. He did not want to be away from her and was just gonna not go back to school. This boy has been trying not to go back to school this entire series, and I think Anna really needs to reckon with that. You'll never get tired of the sound of the woman that loves you. Cammy and Sam go do yoga booty. She waffles about if she loved Ben. He hadn't shown up to her rap party. So they're done. Sam's like, why don't you just call him? And Cammy's like, that's desperate. I'm not desperate. I can never be desperate. And then because Cammy's feelings are hurt, she takes a div at Sam's body. And it's like, Eduardo doesn't care whether he can serve tea on your ass, Cammy asked. She knew it was a low blow, but she was feeling too terrible about herself to be nice to anyone else right now. Actually, he loves my ass, Sam replied, seemingly unfazed. She was chewing her baklava with gusto. She can't be fazed. She's being validated by love. She gets a call, and it's very clear that he has something for her tomorrow. She's so, like, we have to take a side quest. Sam is so mentally ill that the moment he tells her anything and tries to surprise her, she panics. The question I have, and I know part of it is they're both very young and have both only known each other for 5 months, is that if you know that your girlfriend, it's like they keep getting louder. It's your girlfriend freaks out. If your girlfriend freaks out at any kind of inconsistency or surprise, why do you keep trying to surprise them? Every time Eduardo tries to surprise this girl, every fucking time it fails. At least if in some varying way of like breaking up, sending them off to some like stressful land, it's just not a good idea. And I think it speaks to Eduardo's immaturity and lack of lived experience for in his own life. So he gets a call. She calls him. He calls her, and gets the information. She's like, "Oh no, he's gonna break up with me. I bet he's seeing that bitch Giselle. Remember her, the fashion designer from Peru, the one that got involved in your fashion show? She's probably with him." But Cammy can't deliver a barb because guess who just rolled up? Adam. At least she knew how to handle the moment. Without another word, Sam headed back to the yoga booty building. Her words barely registered with Cammy. All she could think about was if Adam was going to just show up, why did it have to be the one time she didn't look her best? He stood tall and lanky with his short cropped spiky brown hair. As he turned his face away from the sun, Cammy could see just a hint of the star tattoo behind his left ear. He wore baggy jeans and an old Ramones t-shirt, and he was much tanner than the last time she'd seen him. There couldn't have been a whole lot of shade out on the lake in the wilderness of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. "One of your housekeepers told me you were here," he explained, still leaning against the building. He put down the Starbucks cup and extended his arms in an unspoken invitation. "Come and hug me," they were saying. Her first instinct was to accept the invite. The thing about Adam was that he always managed to melt her tough exterior to somehow get to her softer core. With him, she was actually nice, but she couldn't decide if that was a good thing or a fatal flaw. But in honesty, she liked the girl she was with him. But Cammy stayed where she was, balling her hands into fists at her side. She was not about to throw herself at a boy who had professed his love and then stood her up. "When'd you get home?" "Late last night." Suddenly, a wave of fury swept over her. He was trying to play her. No one played her. She narrowed her eyes angrily. "I told you to be back for the party." "Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. I don't respond to ultimatums." He shoved his hands into the pockets of his jeans. "You want to go somewhere and talk? You think it's fine to just waltz here the next day without even a phone call? You expect me to say that's okay? I guess I'm tired of you thinking you can lead me around like I'm your pet pooch, deciding where I have to be and when." He reached out and touched her arm gently, oblivious to the traffic passing by on the Cienega. "I don't even think that's what you really want." She shook him off. "I told you to come back days ago, weeks ago. So you're going to be the one who's leading me around like a dog? Taking a week of vacation a month before you start college is fine. 2 weeks even. But 3? Come on." You seem to be missing the point, Cam. Jeez, I mean, you sound like your father lecturing some sycophantic underling. I don't want to be that guy. No one's brains are fully formed up. However, your girlfriend has abandonment issues. Her mom was so depressed that she killed herself. So for Cammy, no matter how much intrinsic love someone offers her, they will still abandon her. And you went to go fuck off? Oh my god, my phone screen's still on. You went to go fuck off in Michigan for several months and didn't talk to her. You didn't say, "Cammy, I don't want to do an ultimatum with you. I love you, but I don't want to do an ultimatum. I will be back tomorrow. Cammy, I have gotten in. I will see you tomorrow. I do not want to do ultimatums with you." Instead of saying that before, you go, "I'm just not going to show up because I'm going to be the big dog." Okay? I mean, I do think Adam's right. I just don't I also see where Cammy is coming from in her big crash out feelings. Last night at the rap party, she'd been humiliated in front of her friends because Adam wanted to make some kind of point. Now he thought he was just gonna put up with it, and then she'd fall back into his arms. That's what her head told her. But then there was a little problem with her heart. You know what, Adam? Tell it to someone who cares. She flipped her hair in a practiced gesture. You don't mean that. I never say anything I don't mean. Cammy, he cupped her cheek with his large hand. Cammy knew that hand so well that she felt new calluses, probably from the canoe paddle or fishing rod. It was everything she could do not to nestle into his arms and give in to the feeling she still had for him. But where would that lead? More moments of uncertainty? Of her feeling vulnerable to what he might say or do? Just look at Sam, for God's sake. She had finally found someone to feel that with, Eduardo, and now he was going to dump her. I meant what I said, Adam. It's Jover. His jaw fell open. Come on, you're not thinking this through. And one last thing, you just blew the best thing you'll ever have. And then she walked away. Anna goes to meet up with Kane, a brunch spot near the UCLA campus, the W. He's gonna go. Kane is out of the plot because he is gonna go and babysit the Los Costaristas in Mexico, where she was in February. She's like, that's so good. Great. He's like, we need to talk. We are talking about something more personal. Anna, this has to be our last date. Now that really made no sense. But why? Oh my god, I don't have the fucking mic in hand. Anna goes on a date with Kane outside of the W. Outside of the UCLA campus. He is going to be going to Mexico as he gets girl bossed out of the plot, so that he can go to Los Costa Ricas, back where Anna was back in February. She's like, yay, cool. He's like, we need to talk. She's like, what? He's like, Anna, this has to be our last date. But why? I was really okay with the dating thing. You wanted to pull back and give yourself some room to breathe and figure things out. That was fine, but remember I told you about that girl I dated at Stanford, Bernadette? The snowboarder? Yeah, you heard from Bernadette? She's leaving Switzerland and coming back to the States. She got a job with the athletics department at UCLA, and she was wondering whether you might want to try again. Something like that. He regarded her thoughtfully. But she wants it to be exclusive. Oh, so that was why he couldn't date her anymore. Well, he certainly had gone back to Bernadette pretty easily, which meant he couldn't be all that into her, which kind of hurt, but she had to admit, a bruised ego was hardly fatal, and nowhere near as bad as a broken heart. I've had a great time with you, Anna. You're fantastic, and I hope you realize that. Took a long pull from his beer. First of all, you're not broke. Oh, God. Oh, God. First of all, you're not brokenhearted. I can see that in your eyes. Second of all, Ben is going to be the happiest dude in California when you tell him. Which brings me to third of all, I think he's wrong for you. So don't take this as a sign that you should jump into his arms. I feel like my rings have to go because I'm simply destroying my book trying to hold things with it. You're breaking up with me and telling me the other guy's wrong for me? Wow. Across the room, Paul McCarthy rose from the piano and braced his gamete-faced blonde woman half his age. Anna thought it might be his daughter, but who was a fashion designer. This she only knew because Sam had insisted that Anna buy a pale pink Stella McCarthy sheath dress the last time they had been at the Beverly Center. What do you and Ben have in common? Great sex? It had slipped out of her mouth before she could edit herself. Ben goes back to Princeton, and I'm going to Yale, Anna pointed out, her face all burned at the last ill-advised comment. So, that means you will have what in common? The ability to get into Ivy League schools? You're an intellectual, Anna. Literature, history, great thoughts, all that. Ben, he's a Beverly Hills kid, and he's just not you. You don't even really know me. Yeah, point taken. So listen, are we going to do this? Will this be the let's stay friends thing, or will we see each other in movies line and ignore each other? Kane spotted the waitress, a tall, thin redhead, and motioned towards his beer. She smiled to show that she understood, and he wanted another one. Let's stay friends. Let's stay friends never works, but let's try it anyway, Anna suggested. You can even buy me a friendly dinner, on one condition. We don't talk about Bernadette or Ben. Deal. He pulled her into a bear hug. It was friendly, and it felt nice. They danced to bitch ass Paul McCartney bitch assing on the bitch ass piano. And the plot continues. It's raining so hard. Back with Sam. What does a girl wear to get dumped? Eduardo was gonna dump her in public, and Sam figured she couldn't, or at least wouldn't, make a scene. Now, one must question, why does she think that he is going to break up with her? I don't understand why. Let's ask the audience. What do you think Eduardo, who is a big romantic, who seems really into her and all of her flaws, going to do that he needs her to be somewhere very public? Yeah. You're probably right. At least it was a beautiful day to be dumped. Invisibly blue skies, temperatures in the high 70s, and a steady west onshore breeze that made Santa Monica as smog-free as rural Montana. Even the traffic was cooperating. Miraculously, there was none. It was almost as if the universe was egging her on, steering her to her destiny of dumpdom. She made the 25-minute drive to Santa Monica in less than 19 and didn't even get caught by the cops. Get caught by the lights at Santa Monica Boulevard and Bundy, pulling up in front of the Monsoon Cafe restaurant that her father had owned back in the day when actors believed that restaurants were worth the aggravation. She handed the Hummer keys over to the black-jacketed valet with a 20 and instructions to park it somewhere where she could get to it quickly. When she was ready to leave, she wanted to be out of there. Quite honestly, her relationship with Eduardo had changed her. Sam knew she had owed all her fortunate LA status to her pedigree and her brains, because in the looks department, she simply could not compete. Oh, sure, she would have been in the top third, let's say Peoria, wherever the hell that was. But in Beverly Hills, money could almost buy anything in the way of physical promotion, and the girls at Beverly Hills had the money to spend. Even with her sucked in this and her altered that, blah, 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 her ankles remained thick, her body pear-shaped. She did not turn heads on Rodeo Drive like Cammy did. Even Petite D did, and Anna definitely did. But Sam did not. Eduardo, objectively gorgeous by anyone's standard, saw her differently. How would he pull it off? Sam wondered as she made her way past the mime performing for a small crowd of tourists on her way to the fountain. He'd say they ought to make a clean break because he was going back to Sorbonne in Paris in a few weeks, and she'd be starting at film school at USC, and it was the right thing to do. The promenade was absolutely jammed. Street musicians weren't just allowed, but encouraged. It's like listening to someone describe their own murder, how they think they're going to be murdered, by someone who has given them no reason to believe that they're going to be murdered. Eduardo was, Sam noted, dressed for business in a black custom-made Savali rose suit, crisp white shirt, and red tie, which meant he had just come from his summer job at the Peruvian consulate. He hadn't even kissed her hello. One quick Humpty Dumped, and he'd be back to the office. He'd probably already seen Giselle on speed dial. To hell with this. She wasn't going to wait around for it. Eduardo? Yes? Whatever you want to say, can you just say it and get it over with so I can say what I'm going to say, and then the two of us can get on with our respective afternoons? I'm supposed to meet Cammy at Ole Hendrickson Spa for hot stone massages. I'm hoping for a good story to tell while Olga busts me into submission. Do you know what's gonna happen? So I'm gonna tell you. So Eduardo gets a band of people, a mariachi-ish band, to play a song, and he says that in Peruvian cultures, it is tradition that a young man go to the most public place in an area and admit to the world his love for his partner before asking her to marry him. The entire time, Sam is believing that he is just trying to torture her. God damn it, Sam. Why do you have to be so obstinate? No, don't answer that question. Just open it. For the first time all afternoon, Eduardo grinned. For the first time since the wrap party at her father's movie, Sam felt the tiniest bit of hope for the future. And then before she could open the box, Eduardo went down on one knee. One knee. It was possible that Peruvian dump your girlfriend rituals differed from the American dump your girlfriend rituals. Sam kind of doubted it involved a one knee thing. One thing meant, no, Hesitantly, she took the velvet box with two hands shaking and opened it. Inside was a ring with a single immaculate cut diamond. It was the largest Sam had ever seen. My beautiful Samantha. It looked like a miniature gleaming E. Hesitantly, she took the velvet box with two shaking hands and opened it. Inside was a ring with a single immaculately cut diamond. It wasn't the largest Sam had ever seen, but it looked like a miniature gleaming evening star. My beautiful Samantha. There is no graceful way to ask this question. My fear is that you will reject me knows no bounds. It took all my courage to find the nerve to ask, and now I fear I cannot. Yet I shall ask anyway, because of how much I love you. Will you be my beautiful Samantha forever? Eduardo, can you boil that down to one simple sentence? Will you marry me? Suddenly, all the people around them and some of the same people who had been listening to the musicians were applauding and cheering. Sam looked around and realized they had drawn a crowd. An elderly Asian couple was snapping photos. A bald girl on roller skates was taking a video. I asked, he shouted, now help her answer. And then he, see. And she says yes, which is crazy pants. Sam Sharp, who'd only recently turned 18, who never, ever thought she'd get married young, if at all, found herself saying, see. Eduardo, I'm only 18. Tell me something I don't already know. You're going back to Paris and I'm going to USC. That's not marriage. That's a separation. We can work that out. I'm sure we can. Can I ask you something? She cocked her chin back towards the Peruvian musicians who were still holding up the fourth promenade. Their music still sprinted, but far now fainter now that she and Eduardo were sitting on the patio. All that stuff you said about being a tradition in the village for a man to ask a woman an important question. When your father asked your mother to marry him, did he do that? Eduardo threw back his head and laughed. I'm serious. I told you the truth. I wanted it to be memorable. So I had to, how do you say, punk you? Damn. Well, you sure as hell had done that. I would kill a man. Don't punk me. Don't punk me. Don't put it on until you're sure. We'll talk and talk and talk. There's no hurry. They talked until the day was done. She went to open her Coach hobo bag, but Eduardo caught her hand. Do you know what's in your heart? Yes, a little. Telling me that you're insane. Thank you. Thank you very much. Look at what I have to look forward to. A lifetime of insanity. It sounds... How did it sound? It sounded absolutely insane. Absolutely and completely insane. Which is why, finally, Sam took out the ring Eduardo took the gleaming diamond and slipped it delicately on the finger of her left hand. She adored it. She adored him. The ring sparkled on her tanned finger. She loved it, and it made her nervous, both at the same time. She wondered if this is how every bride-to-be felt at the moment when the dream of her childhood turned into a reality of her life. Who was she going to tell first? Her father? Cammy? Or Anna? This is Hollywood. There was only one answer. A conference call. The Bank of Berenbaum. If you hadn't spotted this place, there's no way we'd be here, Ben exulted as he looked around the dilapidated, neglected interior of the superior body in repair. How incredible this place would be for a nightstand. How'd you get them to sell it to maybe? He's like, well, I forked over the back taxes. And how amazingly fast they got a set of keys into my hand. So Ben is moving quickly on this dream of his. I think I have. So now Anna is going off to see the location with Ben because how is this train wreck going to end? Badly. Anna has not thought about Kane. She is not cut up over that ending of the relationship. There's a painful long-distance romance piece of the equation. It would be one thing for them to travel every few hours, every other weekend in between his school in Princeton, New Jersey, and hers in New Haven, Connecticut. It'd be quite another to keep the relationship going with her in college on the East Coast and him in LA running his club. How's that gonna work? We've got a visitor, and it's his dad. Oh my God. I don't know if I even want to read to you what he says about it because it doesn't matter. The club in any real sense doesn't matter because this is the culmination of Ben's dreams and wanting to escape his cookie cutter formulaic life in LA. I just don't think you get to escape that life by being a dickhead to your partner. She meets Dr. Birnbaugh. He's like, hey, yo, I'm going to read a lot. So let's fucking get into it. Dr. Birnbaugh took a long swallow of Fiji water before he responded. You know that since I started my program, I live my life of complete honesty. If this is If this preamble phased Ben, he didn't show it. Anna realized he probably heard it all the time now that his father was a 12-stepper. In fact, she remembered hearing the same goddamn thing from at the Academy Awards. Good, Ben replied. I like you better when you're honest. I like me too. I like me better too, son. How much are you estimating you need to make this club work? Budget's on the third page. At least it starts there. Beerenbaum studied the numbers as if there were some kind of oracle, and then he turned to Anna. What do you think of this venture? I think it has potential, she thought. You have good judgment. I agree. Ugh, I think it has potential. She thought that was the right note to strike, not wanting to speak out of term about something she knew virtually nothing about. You have good judgment. I agree. Dr. Beerenbaum checked his figures in the budget again. That's great, Dad. Ben couldn't contain his enthusiasm. We can go to your attorney tomorrow and drop the... Oh, I did not say I was in. It has potential for someone who knows what they're doing. That could be you, Ben, someday, but not now. Ben looked incredulous. We talked. You said you wanted to back my dreams because your father never backed yours. And I will. You've been in the club business for what? Part of a summer? At someone else's club? That doesn't qualify you to run one on your own. Anna looked over at Ben, who just seemed to wilt. You're not going to be my backer then? I can't count on you? You've only finished 1 year of college. You know how many years of school I did? Undergrad, the medical school, then my surgical specialty training. And then I trained in someone else's practice before I went out on my own 15 years ago. Look at what you're trying to do. Go into operating room and start cutting without training, so to speak. Maybe you failed to notice. Ben's voice was tight with anger. But I'm not you. And maybe you failed to notice that the nightclub is not an operating room. Yeah, but that's a lot of fucking money, bro. It's a lot of fucking money. I notice, especially that you're not me. And yes, I have the money. But Ben, money is not lighter fluid. I do not intend to burn it. And it would be burning it if I invested in this half-baked insanity. He turned to Anna. Help me talk some sense into my kid. What I learned in boating school is... Maybe finishing college first really is a good idea, Ben, she ventured awkwardly. Exactly, Dr. Beerenbaum exclaimed, clapping her knee with his hand. Smart girl. She knows this plan is nuts. And I know you're disappointed, but in the long run, son, you'll thank me. No problem, Dad. Ben smiled coldly. Can you see yourself out? I love you, Ben. And I believe in you. Dad? Yes? Just go. If you follow the alley, you'll get to your car. It was lovely to see you, Anna, Dr. Beerenbaum said, then finally giving her a quick peck on the cheek and then making his way out of the club. Okay, I agree with Dr. Beerenbaum. I'm sorry. You're 20 at the most. Asking me for multiple $1 million. You've worked in a club for 3 months? 2? You didn't know you wanted to do this before. Like, I don't see why asking him to wait 3 more years to finish college, where the idea can be more fleshed out. If you've only got one good idea in your head, then you actually don't have any good ideas in your head, you know? Like, does it absolutely have to be this idea right now? I don't like that. I don't know what Anna could have done because obviously, Anna and Dr. Beerenbaum will be shown up that they're just so successful. But, like, that's the plot of the book. But in actuality, I don't think she's wrong. My chin is so red. As soon as he was out of sight, Ben whirled around. Potential? His voice was dripping with sarcasm. He likes you. He thinks you have good judgment. And all you could say that you think was this place has good potential? His emphasis was on the word potential, made it sound like it was the Ebola virus. Anna was taken aback by his anger. All she had been was trying to help. When they had arrived at the shop, she had been totally skeptical, but by the time they sat down with his father, she felt something close to supportive. Even if she didn't think it was his opening club right now was a good idea. But I do think it has potential. You made it sound like you agreed with him, like I'm just some overindulgent child who wants to play in a bigger sandbox. Because you are. That's not fair. I asked you to be here because I wanted someone to have backing me up. He said quietly, his eyes focused on the hard ground in the alley behind the shop. Anna's heart began to sink. She knew Ben was overacting, but at least she knew why. She had been so carefully buttoned up about her true opinions when he had first voiced his plan to her, and then she'd only let her hesitation show in front of his father. It must have felt like utter betrayal. Ben, listen to me a minute. I'm sorry I didn't back you up the way you wanted to me. Very sorry. But you have to admit, it's possible that your father's right. Sure, you could drop out of Princeton, but you turn your back on your education to open a nightclub? And my God, you sound just like him, Ben muttered, tugging his arm out from under her fingers. She moved her folding chair closer to his. I know this might not be what you want to hear right now, but who's to say what you're going to do in 5 years? What if you want then requires a college degree? It might not even be that long. If the club isn't a success, you might find yourself, don't go there, Anna. Ben cut her off, his tone warning. What are you? Don't start lecturing me about not knowing myself, not knowing what I want. His voice was low, almost brooding. His piercing blue eyes suddenly had a dangerous glint to them. Not when you don't even know what you want, Kane or me. This is really what this is about. The thing that kills me is that for all your talk about a 5-year plan, you don't even know what you want or who you are. You're just doing what was set out for you. His tone was icy and had an edge to it that she'd never heard before. The glint in his eye was still there. She felt her cheeks redden. It's not fair, she said quietly, almost in a whisper. Don't take your anger at your father out on me. Graham. Ben grabbed his full beer bottle from the table and took an angry swig and then threw it in the trash can. No, really, Anna, tell me, are you the New York intellectual I met on the plane, or are you some West Coast party chick? You came to LA to get to know your dad better. Did you do that? Or did you give up on him as quickly as I'm watching you give up on me? Don't talk to me about your consistency about knowing what I want. You want me, and then you don't want me, and then you want me again. And you set up these impossible standards when I don't live up to them, when I don't even know what they are. You get all disappointed for my lack of perfection. I don't deserve this, Ben. It's easy to take the path everyone expects for you, Anna. He starts folding up the chair one by one, each with a closed, hard clang. You played in LA for a few months, but then you're going right back to the path that was laid out for you the day you were born. Bet you tested into the right preschool when you were 4 and just kept moving up the ladder from there. The next notch is Yale, so that's where you'll go, just like your mother and everyone else expects you to. Whoa there. Chill your bitch ass out. You're taking your anger out on me when you're really pissed off at your father. Maybe. He folded the other 2 chairs and now reached for the one she had abandoned. Or maybe I'm just finally saying what needs to be said. You came to LA to shake up things in your life, and then you met me, a guy who's still acceptable because I had the Ivy League stamp of approval. Because when you first saw me, I was wearing a Princeton sweatshirt. And now what? You can't stand the thought of being with a dropout, a guy whose dream is a nightclub rather than passing the bar? The truth is, for all of your talk of mixing things up, you're too afraid to make a mistake. You're too afraid to go off the beaten path. You're always going to do what you're born and bred to do. With that, he grabbed the chair and closed it with a swift final motion. I won't cry. I won't cry. I won't cry. Anna vowed herself. She gulped hard so that she could at least make an effort of speaking without her voice shaking. If you think so little of me, why do you want to be with me? Good point. I guess I don't know. Oh, I guess I don't. Which is worse. You know where the exit is. It's where my father went. Ben rubbed a weary hand over his face and then headed back inside, leaving her by herself in the alley. She was alone in a way she hadn't been in a very long time. I feel like I should get to kill Ben Birnbaum. Let's dissect what the fuck just happened. Ben is a sophomore in college. After his second semester, where for the first month and a half, he just wasn't really doing anything. It was not clocking to you. They first start dating and he is in such a troubled state. He doesn't tell Anna where he's going when he abandons her on a boat. And she's pissed. They reconcile. They reconcile too much. He is obsessed with her. And he is putting all of his hopes and dreams about living life on Anna instead of him wanting to do anything for himself because he is so malaligned because of his father's addiction and his mother's depression. So she's like, you got to get out of here, diva. They separate. They're a bit better. They come back together. She goes, did you fuck somebody? And he goes, no. The person that he fucked shows up and is like, the sex was great. And she's rightfully upset about that. Dating two guys at the same, like, she's like, maybe we all move too fast, which is the thesis of the first trilogy. Yes, you all move too fast. Maybe we should just date other people, but continue to see each other. Okay, why won't you back? You're working at a night. You want to be a club promoter? You could go to an Ivy League college and you want to be a club promoter? Oh my God. And no one's saying you can't have this dream later. No one even saying it's a bad idea. They're saying you shouldn't be executing that idea because you are a sophomore and you're not even a sophomore. You have finished your freshman year. And you have the nerve to talk to me crazy. Yes, is Anna boring? Yes. But it's not like her dad has really made any real efforts to be around her. Her sister was an addict that appeared and nearly fucked her over every time she got to do something that was out of what she thought of the possibilities of her. She has been doing tasks, they just haven't been related to you, fucko. You got me defending Mary Sue Bland McBland. No more boyfriend. Everyone's on boyfriend probation until we get this fucking sorted. So Sam wakes up the morning after her engagement and Eduardo gets a call. First of all, she gets a call that's like, and then Eduardo gets a call that's like, you gotta get to New York now. The president of Peru is coming to a special conference at the United Nations in a few days. The guy who was supposed to do the work on our mission to the UN had to go home to Lima because of a family medical crisis. And I don't know all the details, but frankly, I gotta get out of here. She's like, maybe I should come. And he's like, no. But doesn't give her any reason why. And she's kind of hurt by that. So she's like, plotting, scheming, cheating, lying. She's like, if we were dating, it'd be one thing, but we're engaged, so why won't you invite me? So she's like, you know what? I gotta go talk to Anna. I gotta talk to someone with another brain cell. And when I asked Ben and Kane to date me at the same time, Anna began, was that when I wrecked everything? I really want to know. Maybe, Sam sighed. Of course, if Cammy were here, she'd say definitely. But what I want to know is, would Eduardo have invited me to New York if I had said no to his marriage proposal? Let me answer that. Maybe. Maybe now he doesn't even think he needs to make an effort. Maybe. Anna sighed. A lot of maybes. At least Sam wasn't sugarcoating the bad news for her, so she wasn't going to sugarcoat it for Sam. She felt so strong when she had asked Ben and Kane to take a step back and date her. It seemed like such an independent and powerful notion. Something that an active heroine would do. But look where it led. The truth was evident. Both guys had dropped her. Two bitches sitting at dinner saying exactly to one another. It all just happened so fast. Oh, please, look how fast it happened between Eduardo and me. And when it's right, it's right. Is it right? Stick that on the wall. She recalled Kane telling her that she didn't belong with Ben and that he was Beverly Hills Kid, and that's just not you. Maybe it's the West Coast Ben who hadn't fit with her East Coast her. Maybe this whole experiment was a failure. Maybe she didn't belong here at all. I'm ready to go home. Anna felt the words spill out of her. I hear ya. No, I don't mean to my father's place. I mean home to New York. Yale starts in 3 weeks anyway. What's the point of hanging out here now? Should just pack my stuff up and go back to Manhattan. Me? There was a palpable edge in Sam's voice. You got a job with my dad's company helping me read scripts, remember? We're looking at one for me to direct, too. I can do that from New York. You can just FedEx me the scripts and how about a little thing called friendship? Anna saw the hurt in Sam's eyes and felt bad that she carelessly blurted out her feelings. Sam, listen to me. Maybe it's not so much that I want to be in New York as that I want to be far from Ben. Besides, there's a social party for incoming freshmen at the Yale Club in a couple days. And the Yale Club is in Manhattan, near Grand Central Station. Speak no further. Brilliance is breeding and multiplying in my great brain. We go to New York together, just a few days. Anna looked at her friend thoughtfully for a moment. Actually, that was really appealing. Several days of shopping, seeing Sin, some other old friends, maybe some real New York culture like the MoMA or ballet. She didn't know if she could drag Sam to mostly Mozart, but it was certainly a try. Sam knew Sin from their trip to Las Vegas in the spring. The three of them could hang together. It was a perfect thing to make her forget all about the never-ending tragedy with Ben Birnbaum and her LA experience gone awry. We should stay at the Gansford Hotel downtown. We'll get a suite, we'll party our asses off, and I'll surprise Eduardo. Anna looked at her friend with a knowing smile. There it was. Of course Sam had wanted to go to New York. She wanted to find out what the hell Eduardo was up to. Well, Anna didn't blame her for having an alternative motive, especially not when they dovetailed so perfectly from what herself was craving so strongly right now. She hoped things would work out for Sam and Eduardo better than they had worked for her and Ben. And we could stay at my house. Then Ben invites Cammy over as they're each other's throwaway garbage rebounds. And she's like, I'll finance you. You're saying first your dad said he'd finance you and then he changed his mind? Which is not what happened. He said he would talk. And I think they talk. And he's like, my child is 18, 19 at the most. Cammy's like, I cannot beg that man to come back to me. My father makes me nuts, Ben growled, bringing Cammy back to the present. He pretended to be all interested in supporting my dreams, but he was against it from the start. Then he told me later he talked it over with his step-sponsors from Gamblers Anonymous. I never met this asshole in my life. You understand? My father is so under this guy's thumb, it makes me sick. Well, that sucks, Cammy sympathized. She wasn't big on college herself. In fact, she didn't plan to go at all. What would be the point? She was already filthy rich and smarter about the things that really mattered than pretty much anyone she knew. Besides, it wasn't like she didn't have plans. She was ready to launch her career as model management. I even have a name for the place, Ben went on. Bye-bye, love. God, he had picked a name. He was serious. I love that. Cammy agreed. This wouldn't be a club for love. It would be a club for fun, right? Check anything heavier at the door. That's exactly it. You know, even after my dad said no, I'm still getting ideas. I see vintage car seats instead of banquettes. Maybe an old-fashioned drive-in movie screen on one wall, showing nothing but party scenes or sex scenes, Cammy elaborated. No fucking Casablanca, Ben went on. I don't care if Sam's dad does want to remake it, or Sleepless in Seattle. In fact, no chick flicks at all. He grinned. You're seeing it like I'm seeing it. I am. She lifted the curls off her neck and saw Ben glance at the swell of her breast. Underneath those curls were well-oiled wheels turning. When Adam did come calling back, because in her heart of hearts, Cammy still believed he would, wouldn't it make him nuts if she was involved with Ben's new club? Heavily involved. Very heavily involved. And there was the joy she would get watching Anna's face when she heard the news, not to mention the flexing of Cammy's guy magnet muscles. At the party after the fashion show a couple weeks ago, she had told Anna in no certain terms that if she and Adam were over, she and Ben would follow closely on the great relationship's hot couture coattails. The idea held great appeal for Cammy. What a better way to prove that both guys she loved hadn't dumped her than by proving she could make the second one jealous by getting the first one back. So how much did you need to finance this baby? Well, I've got a mil I can put in without my father, but I need 2 more to get this place in shape. Hire the right people, yada yada. I've taken it down a bit from my first budget, but I think it'll still work. Wait, you're in? Yeah, she's in. She is horny and spiteful. And that's all she ever needs to get anything done. There is no one like you in the universe, Cammy Shepard. As he put her back down, she lowered her eyes, half-mast, knowing exactly how sexy she looked when she did it. Well, Ben Birnbaum. It's about time you realized it. Anna and Sam get to New York, and they're at a free concert in the park where, for whatever reason, sponsored by fucking John Mayer, where they name drop songs by name from him. Bodies of Wonderland, Love Soon, Different. It's crazy. Sin has met up with them. Jackson got them on the private PJ. With each mile that was put between her and Los Angeles, Anna felt just a little bit better, even as Ben's stinging indictments of her faults rang in her ears. Yes, she had come to Beverly Hills to change herself, but maybe Ben was right. Maybe it was all sound and fury signaling absolutely nothing. When you came right down to it, she was a New Yorker, born and bred on the sheltered Upper East Side to exactly the person she was. What was it that someone once said to her, no matter where you go, there you are? If her time in LA hadn't changed her at all, Then there had no question every choice she'd ever made since the day before New Year's Eve, when she'd boarded the plane with a deliberate intent of shaking up her life. It felt now as though the only thing she'd shaken up was her heart and her faith in her own decision-making. They get to meet up with Sin's daughter, and Gravity and Clarity are played by John Mayer. Sin continues to be like, you never call me enough. I've had 2 boyfriends since the last time, and I made out with an extremely handsome older gentleman at a loft party in Soho since then. Who wants drink? I'll be right back. Sin headed towards the open backstage bars, roadies turning as she walked past them. Meyer's band had just started a slow blues instrumental when Anna spotted a familiar face, Olivia Macklow. A classmate of Anna's from Trinity sidled up to her. With her was a cherubic Molly Burton, who spoke 5 languages and whose father worked at the World Bank. She had straight black hair down her back. Well, well, who said you can't go home again? Olivia said rhetorically, appraising Anna with a smile. Anna knew she was deliberately quoting Thomas Wolfe, a novelist Anna quite liked and Olivia quite loved. Olivia lived a block away from the Percys in an Upper East Side townhouse. They had purchased it from Truman Capote, and Olivia liked to claim that the infamous writer haunted it. Their families used to give joint Christmas parties to which their friends and families flew in from all over the world. Can you believe it, Molly? It's Anna, back from the dead. Not dead yet, Anna grinned, hugging the 2 girls warmly, and then motioned to Sam. They kind of ignore Sam. Still Yale? How about you 2? Carnegie Mellon and Western history. I'm going to set myself up for a Watson, so I can go to Eastern Europe. And Molly can speak for herself, thank you very much. I got accepted to Dartmouth and Johns Hopkins, but I decided to study Joyce in Dublin, so I'm going to Trinity College. Guess I could keep my old Trinity t-shirts and wear them around there, she added with a laugh. Maybe it's fate. I'm going to USC, Sam declared, to film school. Oh, right. Sam Sharp, your dad's on all those testosterone flicks. Her eyes flickered in a subtle way that spoke volume about what she thought about the genre. Yes, which grosses $1 billion worldwide. Overseas, Olivia corrected. That's why the writing's always so simplistic. They can't depend on the plot, so they depend on blowing things up and a lot of gore. It sells internationally to the masses. Have you ever seen any of Jackson Sharp's movies? Please, Olivia scoffed. She leaned back against one of the cargo-sized blue boxes that the roadies used. I don't do testosterone flicks. Well, then how would you know? A breeze pushed some hair into Anna's face and she brushed it away. Olivia simply changed the subject. So where are you staying, Anna? Your place? Yeah. My mom's away in Florence, so there's no one there. Unless you count your live-ins. She's in Barbados visiting her kids. Sounds fire to me. I'm psyched to finally get to see where you grew up. Maybe I'll find some geeky old class photos of you, or better, unearth your diary and find out you've some embarrassing crushes in the past. Oh, did you hear Penelope Stanhope's father got a MacArthur Genius Grant? Molly asked Anna. He's writing a cycle of tone poems for the Brooklyn Academy of Music with John Adams. Her family is in India now. She sent me an email. She's studying Sanskrit while she's there. Sam laughed. This is really funny. It's name-dropping East Coast snob style. Anna smiled because she never thought of it that way. I suppose it is. I'm dying for some champagne, Molly gross. Where's the bar? I think it's behind us. Great, we're off. Should we bring back a bottle? No, because I'm coming with you. I'll bring it. Molly and Olivia laughed as they started to tread their way back to the bar with Sam. For a moment, Anna was alone with John Mayer, rocking the crowd and swaying with, "Your body is a wonderland." This was New York, her New York, where the name-dropping was, as Sam pointed out, just as plentiful as in the West Coast show business equivalent. But it was the name-dropping she understood. Tonight she'd be sleeping in her own 4-poster bed. She'd breathe in and smell not Bougainvillea, but the faintest lingering of clothes in her own closet. It had been so long since that happened. After 8 months as a stranger in a strange land, she was home. We live inside of Anna's head, and so we have some intrinsic understanding of Anna that even the other characters in the book don't. As they go up to the house, they're like, oh my god, you live in a 6th-floor house that's about the same size as Dee's mansion. We get to Jane Percy's gallery, in which Anna explains all the bits that she has, but she's like, you never talked to me about your mom that much, you know? Which is like fine. I'm sure it doesn't come up that much because Sam doesn't talk about her mom. But they're friends, and yet Sam knows next to nothing about this girl because she refuses to let them in. She is so guarded and fearful of vulnerability. And look how her vulnerability has been rewarded. That man just read her for filth. It was crazy. What had Anna told her? Sam tried to remember that her mother was some old money upper crust that she had never showed emotion, because if you were well bred, it was simply not done. Totally ironic, really, because Sam's whole life was about emotion. That was the film business. Not that any of her emotions on display were necessarily real, of course, but emoting believably was what got an actor, say her father, for example, the big bucks. Maybe that was why Hollywood people would hug you when they first meet you. Anna's house is filled with early American, original Ethan Allen furniture. And Sam's like, how long have you been wanting to go to Yale? And she goes, since I was 8. So the last 10 years of her life has been trucking for her to get to Yale. It's where her dad went and where her grandfather went. They go over to her bookshelf to find that Anna has read all of those books, and it's stuffed with beloved books. It was one thing to know how smart and well-read Anna was in theory, and quite another to be staring at the hundreds of books she had obviously poured through, probably right there on that brown teak four-poster bed. I have this thing about keeping books I read. I suppose I collect them the way my mother collects art. Hardly the same, and most of them are dead. Hardly the same, unless you fooled around with all the authors. And most of them are dead. Plus, you can reread a book anytime you want. Oh my god. So, they go out to get food when they run into... Not yet. They're leaving the house when Eduardo calls, and Sam lies and says she's still in LA. And it's like, it's just after 9. Oh my god. I could still get on the plane and get to New York, Anna heard Sam offered. Oh no, of course. Understand. Okay, love you too. Talk to you tomorrow. She's spinning herself up. Poor girl. Anna and Sam hadn't taken more than 10 steps east of their trek to the Olympia Diner when Anna heard someone softly call her name. Anna Percy? He wore an open light blue shirt over a t-shirt, khakis, and black Gucci loafers without socks. He looked, Anna thought, like he could be Daniel Craig's son. Same starling blue eyes, same slightly sticky out ears, same sandy hair and jutting jaw. Anna mentally smiled at her own thought process. Before she moved to Los Angeles, she would have never made a what famous movie star does he look like comparison, nor would she have known who Daniel Craig was before. She had never gone to see a Bond movie, but she had seen the latest one with Sam and liked it. For a split second, she studied Daniel Craig Jr. and tried to place him. He did look vaguely familiar. Logan. Could not remember his name. She and Logan Cresswell had gone to preschool together at the Y, and following that, they had sat next to each other in grade school. He was the first boy she'd ever kissed on the cheek in the cloakroom in 2nd grade, though she could no longer remember why. She hadn't seen him in forever. He was one of those kids whose parents sent them to boarding school. So he's neighbors, literally boy next door of Anna. They are equally as smart. They tied for first place in the school spelling bee. They are just the cutest. He's like, I heard you moved to LA. And she's like, yeah, for the last 8 months. And I met this one. And she's like, Sam, my Sam Lamb, my girl, my grill. He's working as a writer's assistant for some guy who won a Pulitzer Prize. And Anna liked his book, and she's like, oh my god, you should come see the reading of his novel later in the week. And they're like, maybe. Plot. He's like, oh my god, where are you going to school? She says Yale. He says Harvard. They're thinking about creative writing, but Anna doesn't really know what she's going to do yet. He's like, ooh, might I take you girls to dinner? But she's like, we have plans. Dinner with Anna tomorrow. Good. Plot. I will be able to finish this. I will be able to finish this half today. I will. So everyone's working in the auto shop, and Cammie's just horny for Ben. They're in the clean it out phase, and Ben, as she perceives him, is just so hot and masculine. Ugh. They go out to the alley where Anna broke up with him, and he refers to it as that, and that's crazy. But she didn't break up with him, he broke up with her. Bitch. He shows her a model of the club. He envisioned it as 3 separate spaces, much like Treese was laid out, One area would have its own bar serving unlimited Tanqueray champagne to VIPs, and the other people would select on the list. Other select people on the list. Those people would get temporary silver and blue tattoos of the Bye Bye Love logo on the backs of their hands. Gammy knew this would be widely sought after. Another would house a small stage with only enough seating for 10 or 15 people. The idea is that we put on short plays or have comedians come do their acts on the stage. Very short, maybe 15 minutes max. People would come in to be entertained, to get away from the noise, and of course, because it's the most exclusive ticket in town, speaking of, did you talk to your dad about the liquor license? How ridiculous is that? Every kid in Beverly Hills gets a fake ID at 14. But whatever, I'll talk to my father. He'll sign for it. More than my father did. I think you probably could have asked your dad to sign for the liquor license. As long as he knows that you're not the one paying for it. I don't know. Complicated. I kind of want to stay away from the only the rich can afford to get in thing. Cammy shook her blonde curls out of her eyes. The less you charge, the less prestige you have, and the less success, she decreed. You want to be overrun with kids from the valley? Like, also known as the kiss of death? No. So charge big. You can always put the hip but poor on the guest list. In fact, you should. So the place gets talked about. Good point. They do different themes. They're like, again, the asshole boyfriends and girlfriends. And Ben's like, Anna's not an asshole. Because now you're not mad. You're like, Anna's not an asshole. You were an asshole. My idea is that the space, it's the main nightclub area, could be transformed every week into something new. You know, the club people have the attention spans of gnats. I've already talked to Los Angeles Art Institute, and they've got senior industrial design class whose professor swears they can come in on Sunday and have a whole new look in the place for the following Monday night. Great, Cammy exclaimed. We just have to be careful. One bad design could kill you. I can have them do models like this. But it's all in the execute. Hey, I've got an idea. How about a trash it night? Call it trash it night. You hate the design that goes up. Let people come in and pay to give them a sledgehammer and let them bash it up. They are just in a flow state of kind of kitschy ideas. What happened to fucking dancing? What happened to good music? Why am I going to an arts and club activity? Why am I going to an Instagram photo opportunity place that's calling itself a nightclub? Ben, R.I.P. to Ben Birnbaum, you would love Instagram-worthy pop-up shops and TikTok trend activities. My God. They haven't found a DJ yet, but Cammy knows the guy because there's this guy who's really good. He's named John Carlos, and he's awesome, but he only represents himself. She's got to go get the club owner to ask him a few favors to get him. They cheers to having the most successful club in LA, and we fucking keep it pushing. So now, here she is trying to show up to the embassy. But it doesn't work because she's not in LA anymore and she just can't. I'm Sam Sharp my way into places. She prays on her heart of hearts that he is not with that bitch Giselle. She sees Eduardo. He's very cold to her because he's in business mode. He does not introduce her as his fiance and does not kiss her. She's feeling very insulted by all of this. You know what happens when you date someone for longer than 5 months? You understand how their brain works and why they do the things that they do. You can either love or hate those things, but you must have some base understanding of cultural and emotional differences that lead you to make decisions that maybe you don't like. I'd love to take you to dinner, but as you can see, I have an embassy affair tonight. One of my colleagues at our mission to the United Nations. It wouldn't be good for you. Everything will be in Spanish. I'd neglect you terribly. I suppose it would be impossible to get into, but I'm sure you and Anna will find a way. Eduardo nodded and looked pleased. Why did he have to look so happy? He'd be unhappy that she was going to a club without him. What about the stereotype that Latin men were hot-blooded and extremely proprietorial about their women? Okay, well, he was hot-blooded enough, but what was the propriety? I have an excellent idea. You two must come to the embassy dinner on Friday night. It felt more like an order than a suggestion. It actually at the consulate, but it should be quite the affair. The president is speaking that day at the UN. There'll be a lot to celebrate. I'll introduce him to you. Maybe he'll want your autograph. Maybe you'll want my father's autograph. I'm good at signing his name. Sam smirked, but was happy he had invited her. People who were engaged were supposed to invite their partners to occasions like this, and now the invitation had been issued. But even as Eduardo gave her one last kiss goodbye, she couldn't help but wondering if that bitch Gisela would be at the embassy party too. Fourth generation legacy. Anna and Logan waffle about their life that has always been laid out for them. Chinatown had always been her favorite. I really fucking pin these shit in. My God. Chinatown had always been one of her favorite neighborhoods in Manhattan, teeming with people who spoke in rapid-fire Mandarin, full of open-air markets that sold fish, shellfish, and exotic vegetables with strange music wafting from the shop stalls, and every second doorway seeming to have led to a tiny family-owned restaurant. Chinatown had a vibrancy and excitement that she knew her Upper East Side neighborhood lacked. Back when she lived in Manhattan, she and her friends would come here often just to walk around or eat. As far as she knew, her mother had never been here, which was something significant about both the area and about Jane Cabot. Racist. With your nanny, my nanny, and me, I think we were 8, something like that, Logan recalled. Memories flooded Anna as she stood with him at the busy corner of Mont and Canal. At the time, her nanny had been a wonderful young woman from Taiwan who had ordered for them in perfect Mandarin. Leanne. She remembered. She was my nanny. She was going to Hunter College at night. At which time the night nanny took over. Leanne told us her name meant Graceful Willow. I think she's the reason I ended up studying Chinese at St. Paul, actually. Logan led away down the basement level. That nanny, Leanne, she was my first crush. When Logan had rung the doorbell exactly on time, Anna was waiting for him. He wore khakis and a blue linen shirt, because he's got a uniform similar to Anna's vintage studs and general love of silky black Chanel items. How do you remember all these things? She asked him, now still charmed by the dismission of the nanny crush. The curse of a great memory, he answered lightly, holding the door open for her. Anna walked in, and their arms lightly brushing as they passed. Besides, you never forget your first crush. Inside the restaurant was a noisy crowd. I want to hear everything. The life of Logan. He cocked his furrowed brow. Everything, huh? Well, there was boarding school, or as not so fondly called by the inmates, boring school. You hated it? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I had 2 amazing English lit teachers my junior and senior year that helped, and my friends I've known forever, and I travel with my parents a lot. That's been great. Where'd you go with them? Europe, Asia, Africa. I love Tanzania, and the people are amazing. Their national poet, Shaban Robert. Do you know his work? Mm-mm. I'll get you a book of his poems, Logan promised. He writes about the savannah, about tribes, and about how even the Maasai tribesmen has the same hopes and dreams as anyone else. Really amazing stuff. Logan's story continued. He was, as he had told her, going to Harvard, and that had been his choice since 6th grade. And he had been planning schooling at the end, graduating second in his class at St. Paul's, captaining the soccer team, and volunteering as a literary and school worker 3 afternoons a week. It had worked. He got the same early decision letter from Harvard that Anna had received from Yale, and that fact, she thought, he probably would have gotten it, even if he wasn't a 4th generation legacy. White boy orders food in perfect Mandarin, shocking all in the restaurant, and Anna is wooed by how good he is. It was a long taxi ride away, all the way uptown to the Fort Washington Park at Lafayette Square. The little red lighthouse where they went on a field trip many months ago. The children say the boy doesn't care. He brought her there because they shared a little kiss there when they were little. Anna hesitated. It was not her nature to discuss her personal life. Back in New York, she had been only girl not to have a blog on MySpace. Other girls would call their friends and gossip endlessly about their latest crushes, but Anna was not one of those girls. There had been a few good lessons in the This Is How We Do Things big book chapter called Public is Public and Private is Private. Had always been one of her favorites. Besides, her friend Sin had done enough oversharing for both of them. Anna never minded being on the listening end. Well, he asked her about what's going on in her head. There's this running loop about us. This date, I guess. I wasn't planning for it to be a date, she admitted. It's not a date. Or maybe it is. Or maybe we can figure it out later. He reached down and picked up a pebble, then dropped it over the side of the lighthouse. But somehow I don't think that's the only loop. It goes something like this. I had a boyfriend in Los Angeles, a serious boyfriend. We had many ups and downs and misunderstandings, and I never felt sure of anything. She stopped abruptly, lest she get into oversharing. Anyway, he broke up with me 2 days ago, and it's what prompted this trip to New York. And here I am with you having a really great time. The last thing I want to do is pretend Ben, isn't still in my heart and on my mind, and I'll stop there. Did I confuse you? Not at all. What you just said made me think about my former girlfriend. Actually, she just finished her freshman year at Hartford. We broke up at the start of the summer. It was just one of those things. I'm not just sure I'm over her either. So they're literally the same person. They're literally the same person. So then you do understand. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Happily, Logan changed the subject. Are you planning on going to that thing at the Yale Club the night after next? It's one of the reasons I came home. Ivy League planning, Yale, Harvard or Brown, and Dartmouth are all on the same night at their respective clubs. Want to go out someplace afterwards? We could compare war stories. I'd ask you to bring Sam, but I think she'd be totally bored. You're right, she would be, and I'd love to. And then she kisses him, not on the cheek, at the little red bobbin, at the little red bobbin. So Cammy goes to Martin Rittenhouse's fashion house to bully him into getting some models to come to the opening of her club. He's got a nephew who is smitten for champagne named Seth. He's a hetero guy in fashion, which is always some kind of red flag. Martin is kind of apprehensive to do this thing for her, but she's like, if you do this thing for me, I can forget about you trying to slander my client, and thus consider us fucking bald. So I did forget one kind of important thing about Sam's plot. Sam wants to make this movie Ass Man, is going to try and get the rights so that she can direct it from the guy. Joe Jeffrey. Sam knew she had read the screenplay 3 times. The first time she had been struck by its humor, she was still laughing aloud at many of the lines. The second time by the dialogue. The third time it was a surprising sensitivity that came through. Ass Man was the story of an unsung Hollywood actor who, after kicking around for years and getting nowhere, gets cast in the national commercial for a popular hemorrhoid cream. America falls in love with the commercial and with him, and the actor is quickly catapulted to fame and fortune. Sam loved the intelligent way in which Joe had skewered all things Hollywood. So she goes to meet up with the guy, and of course the guy is an asshole. He wants to direct the movie. And think of that scene from Dreamgirls where Dina goes to meet with the scruffy looking guys to shoot that blaxploitation movie, and it's like insinuated that she would sleep with them just to show how gritty and real she is, because she's always been accused of being fake. It's like that, but like daddy's girl shit. And she's like, you gotta let me have this film. And he's like, yeah, if your dad agrees to let me write and direct one of his movies. Sam calls him an asshole because he is an asshole. It doesn't go anywhere, and she is left frustrated. Several hours later, Anna and Logan and Sam attempt to get into a party at the consulate, and they finally run into Eduardo, kind of avoiding an embarrassing situation. But again, Eduardo refuses to acknowledge her as his fiance, and she just feels not great about this. They're like, maybe Anna, who's the voice of reason, is like, maybe there are different customs in Peru. And she's like, I do not give a shit about Peru. We're in America, and you should be wanting to be near me. And worse, she leaves to go like powder her nose and like war talk with Anna. And then wouldn't you know who saunters out? Gisela, her enemy. So that bitch Gisela is here, and Sam is none too pleased. It's all her worst nightmares aligned. So now it is time for Anna to go to her Yale WASP meet up with all the future Yale lights of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, look to your right. Anna dutifully turned to her right. Sitting on a folding chair next to her was a hirsute guy, bushy red hair on his on his head along with a thick, wiry beard and flip-flops on his feet. He wore black pants and a white shirt flecked with hot pink and black paint. She noticed that his thatch of hair traveled into the collar of her shirt, both in the front and back. She wondered idly if it mingled with the chest hair and back hair in a sort of pelt. It was such an odd thing to wonder, but then she was feeling particularly odd at that moment. Now to your left. Anna turned again. To her left was a girl so slender and pale she was nearly opaque. Her face was tightly pinched with close-cropped boyish dark hair and wore red tights under black walking shorts and layers of baggy tops, which had to have been designed to disguise her alarming boniness. Anna peeked at her seatmate's name tag. The guy had the first and last name of so many syllables that it barely fit on the tag, and the young woman's name was Abernathy Hathaway Birch. Anna guessed she could come from East Coast boss family of the type of which she herself was all too familiar. Who else would name their daughter Abernathy? Siobhan Thompson. All around the room, an impressive wood-paneled meeting area in the veritable Yale Club in New York City. Incoming freshmen from New York metropolitan area were doing the same thing following the instructions of Yale's Dean of Students, a slightly built 30-something man in wire-rimmed glasses with short brown hair who wore a light brown sport coat over a white Oxford shirt and a navy blue tie. Anna would have bet anything that he was wearing corduroy pants, though the official Yale podium blocked the way. She's in it! She's here. She's worked so hard. And she's finally gotten to the thing that she promised herself at 10. But who the fuck is 10-year-old you? Not a real person. They haven't lived. Anna laughs and listens to jokes and ponders how after a season of living in LA and its own LA-ness and all of its social clubs, she's back in the waters that she's so familiar with swimming. But the California club Anna had just found kind of silly, but this particular club, the properly bred, old-school New Englander club, made her feel sort of sad. It was all about intellectual sparring and nothing about who people really were. Like, I think she's like, oh my god, everyone's so fake in LA. Everyone's so fake here. Everyone's fake everywhere. It's all posturing. You're all posturing. Abernathy asks Anna about her feelings on marriage, and Abernathy, she doesn't give a straight answer, and Abernathy is like, whatever, fuck you, and just like blows her off. Anna is off of her game. Do I think she'd be any more on her game if she hadn't gone to LA? No, I think she would have already killed herself. She is really, really quite peculiar. There are many of these gatherings happening across Boston, New Haven, Washington, D.C. on the same night, along with of all the Ivy League schools. In New York, Anna and her friends had treated fashion differently. No one put anywhere near as sort of effort into looking rich as they did in Los Angeles, where designer tags were a badge of honor. This protective coloration was stated in ancient khakis and triple-ply cashmere sweaters with frayed hems or holes in the elbows. Dressing down was dressing up. Even to a cocktail party or a gallery opening, people generally wore something simple and black. Some more things happen. She's really, really fucking just blown by this. She's not having a good time. And then she runs into one of her rivals from school, a boy named Stevens McCall Richardson, who was the editor of the literary journal at Trinity, who very aggressively and meanly took down one of Anna's writing. She made the mistake of submitting a short story to him about a scary nor'easter storm she'd experienced as a child on Martha's Vineyard. It had been blown apart of the widow's walk off the 19th century home, and Anna had spent most of the blow cowering in the basement. To say he hadn't liked her story was an understatement. The first half of the 2,000 words had been marked in red ink, then the balance sheet of an Enron in its entirety. The second half was untouched, as if Stephen McCall, he insisted on being called both names, had become so irritated by its contents, or even worse, so bored, that he had given up. Across the top he had scrawled, "Not really for us," in bright red caps. He's there, and he kind of womps about how he got into the special literary class. He's like, "Oh my god, what's your major?" And she's like, "I don't know yet. It's probably going to be creative writing." She's like, "Oh, well, I've already gotten into this intensive with this teacher, and you couldn't even hope to get into it. Womp womp, fuck you, loser." Anna is a loser here. Like, she's not a loser. But where Anna is kind of initiated into the A-list and stays there, there are bigger, meaner sharks here in New York. against her. So Anna's like, shit, I hate this guy from my past. And then I haven't been talking into the mic. I just realized I haven't been talking into the mic. I should kill myself. Maybe she'll meet her roommate and she'll have something in common. Something fun to find with this person. Her person is Contessa Weiss. I wonder related to Barry Weiss. And Contessa's a mess. She's this goth, emo, overly serious, weird girl that Anna just is generally off the rip finding off-putting. She often does that. And this person just keeps on going and like crossing social boundaries, you know, boundaries that Anna really thought were set in stone for her type of people. But they're not. Anna might just be an outlier, and I feel like Anna needs to come to grips with that quickly. But maybe she won't. Oh my god. So she's just annoying. And Anna is really off-put by her, and it all just comes crushing down into the feeling of, oh god, I have to go to Yale next year. Oh no. Are you like too tall, maybe? Contessa then goes off to talk to Steven, and Anna's like, oh god, they are gonna be off together being annoying and a terrorist to me. Good lord. At the moment, all the energy swirling around her like a tornado made her feel as if she were in its eye, silent, separate, and very much alone. Cammy and Ben go off to poach a DJ. I don't care. They kind of have some flirtations, but Ben is all business, eye on the prize to get it done. They approach this DJ, John Carlos, and is like, oh my god, if you come talk to my dad, it'll really work out for you. Don't worry about it. Come work at my club. Logan comes and picks up Anna from 86, from the Yale party. And they're off to go do some more plot that's not going to feel so agonizing. Why is God so unfair to his cunty soldier? How about you and all things Harvard? Did it make you want to transfer to Yale? The brilliance in the room made me squint, he joked. Every incoming freshman had graduated #1 in his or her class, or they were already world-class violinists or something. You could literally feel people sussing each other out. Don't get me wrong, it was very cool in a way, and stimulating for sure. And you know, pretty much everything you'd expect a Harvard thing to be. Right. Yale too, she said quickly. We're both getting what we always wanted, he pointed out and then smiled wanly. Which doesn't happen often, right? Right, Anna agreed, and she turned towards the window and saw a homeless woman clad in polka dot shower curtains rummaging through the garbage and talking to herself. Lots of people never get what they want, she added. She hadn't given any thought to where they were heading and was surprised when the driver pulled up at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Okay, what are we doing at the MoMA? Logan knows so much about her backstory and paints it back to her. They go to a side door and meet up with a security guard named James Broadbent. James Broadbent lets them in and says, I'm on my 15. See you later. And thus they go and relive some more tragic backstory with Anna. I'm just gonna read it. No big deal, he assured her. You're here now. Her stomach grumbled. Logan had said something about eating, but here they were at the Met after hours without a croissant in sight. They had turned down another hall. James pushed open wide double doors. The Heart Room, he announced triumphantly. Anna stepped in and gasped. The room was furnished with priceless 17th century antiques, and she recognized them because they had once belonged to her well, she didn't exactly know how many greats, but a lot, maternal grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Hart, who hailed from Ipswich, Massachusetts. I remember, Anna breathed, looking around at the priceless antiques. She had been little, 8 years old, maybe. The Harts had donated the furnishings to the Met, but a lawsuit over a complicated will meant that the furniture sat in storage for years and years, being on display shortly after the time Anna had seen it in the first place. They had been studying the Founding Fathers in school. Her first grade class had taken a special tour of the furniture, arranged by Anna's mother, which in the public had not been allowed to see. The furniture looked like something from a princess's house. All the girls oohed and awed over it. The boys, Anna remembered, had been bored to death. They'd all been told not to touch anything, but thinking she was somehow entitled to enjoy the furniture that had belonged to her family more than other children, Anna climbed onto the ash and pine four-poster bed from which red velvet panels and priceless tapestries were hanging. "Anna Percy, get off this bed this instant," her teacher, Miss Duke, had bellowed. Anna remembered how humiliated she felt. Not that it was such a big deal, but she was always such a good girl that to be publicly reprimanded had made her cry in front of the entire class, which only humiliated her even more. Not only did not one did not show emotion in public. That was Jane Percy's motto. At age 8, Anna had already blown it. And now here she stood among the same furniture once more, carved into the cupboards and the pine boards and the bip and bep. So they go onto this date where it kind of offers the opportunity to heal her former child and flop around on this priceless bed and have a picnic lunch with Logan and drink champagne and really feel what she's feeling. She put down the baguette. "I am an ungrateful, horrible person." "Wow, I was just thinking that myself," Logan teased. "No, seriously, you were terrific. This is terrific. I have everything. So I can't figure out why I feel so bad." That wasn't honest. She could be honest. "Actually, I can." "Then do tell." He took a sip of his champagne. "I hate that I'm even saying this. I had a terrible time at the Yale Club." Logan didn't respond right away. He chewed his bite of sandwich and washed it down with some champagne. "How come?" His tone was completely non-judgmental, which Anna appreciated. "I don't know. That's what I mean. It's what I've been always wanted, and now I have it, and I don't know if it's what I want at all." Damn, had she really said all that out loud? Logan didn't look shocked, though he waited patiently for her to elaborate. "I went to LA to change my life," she explained, thinking this was an intimate thing to share with the guy she didn't know all that well. On the other hand, she had known him longer than any of her Los Angeles friends, including Ben. "I thought I could, believe me, I know how ridiculous this sounds, reinvent myself. And then on the way there, on the plane, before I even set foot on the West Coast turf, I met Ben," the guy he broke up with. "Are you bored to death? Am I totally self-involved?" He reached for his hands. "I really do want to hear this." Anna bit her lip pensively. "So I feel like everything I've done since I went there has to do with him. That's what I've been defined by him, somehow, which was not my plan. You know that expression, wherever you go, there you are? My favorite. I think I was the same me in LA, just me with a boyfriend. I've had some adventures, but honestly, I don't feel like I've changed my life that much at all in LA. I'm still the girl from New York, and here in New York, I'm still longing for something else, but I don't know what that something is." "I don't know why I told you that. I'm sorry." Logan goes into his story about going to Harvard and how it's also like kind of sucky for him and that it's like his roommates are, guys. And he's like, ugh. He's like, "I don't even know why I'm putting all this pressure on myself to go to Harvard if I don't want to. My family's fine if I don't, as long as I take over the family business, which I'm fine with. But I just, and miss Harvard? Never." Which makes us equally insane, Anna surmised. "And now I'll be up all night, tossing and turning, trying to make sense out of it. Overthinking everything. You're a female me." He regarded her thoughtfully. "This guy you talk a lot about, Ben, do you love him?" Once again, Anna was struck by how awkward it was to discuss with Logan, and yet, in another way, it just felt right, sitting amidst her ancestors' antique furniture in one of the world's most celebrated museums late at night, pouring her heart out to a long-lost childhood friend somehow couldn't be any stranger than her surroundings. "I wish I knew." Which is the hard bit, but that part about him being the female Anna, they are the same, locked in. So the door gets, she tries to leave, and then the door is locked, so they just hang out in there. And they cuddle and kiss, and it's a very fade to black kind of sweet moment. Not a sex scene, just sweet. Anna and Sin go to the art house play of one of the girls that they went to school with. "Honestly, I never thought Tabitha could write worth shit," Sin confided, "but I promised her I'd come to this, so whatever." Tabitha Matheson had been a year ahead of them at Trinity and had gone on to the creative writing program at Columbia, despite Sin's doubts of her talent. Her mother was an editor at New York Review of Books, and her father was a New York University literature professor and a poet who had twice been the winner of the Walt Whitman Award for Achievement in American Poetry. His teaching was a sincere, and he spent all his time on poetry. Yet Tabitha lived in the Upper East Side townhouse, even more lavish than where Anna had grown up, since Professor Matheson's great father had been a founding partner of the Matheson and Matheson, the virulent Wall Street law firm. "Isn't it so weird?" Anna asked. She realized this was her first time back home as an actual high school graduate. "To think high school's really over." "Yeah." Something flickered across Sin's face. She blew a a meager bubble with her gum, then popped it. Hey, you'll come visit me in Paris, right? I promise I'll cook you an amazing welcome dinner, she added with a grin. Anna nodded, but couldn't keep her head from spinning a bit, though. Sin in France at cooking school. It seemed bizarre because, as far as Anna knew, Sin had never shown any interest in cooking and was supposed to be starting at Middlebury College in Vermont. She had decided to defer only a few weeks ago, as she explained on the cab ride downtown, but she didn't feel any ambivalence about it. Middlebury wasn't going anywhere, Sin explained. You'll be too busy seducing every hot guy at your cooking school, Anna teased, even as she swallowed down a little lump in her throat. It was one thing to be in LA while Sin was in New York, but quite another to think of her best friend leaving to go abroad. She'd miss her a lot. Even after these years, Sin hadn't changed much at all. She was the same outrageous hellion she'd been when they had met in elementary school. Today, she wore, don't care. Just guys? Do you think I'm slipping? Not at all, because I'm not. But there's more to life than seducing everyone around you just to prove you can, which I can. At least that's what I've heard. Her eyes flickered to the back of the theater and groaned. Oh, God. Tabitha's back there. The lead actress, a gaunt girl with platinum blonde hair and enormous eyes, had bandages around both her wrists. Anna soon learned that this was because she was recovering from her latest suicide attempt. It was the last party of the season at her parents' summer house in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts. The girl had an unrequited crush on her father's best friend, a middle-aged raging alcoholic who was only attracted to very young girls. The party went on, and 30 minutes in, Anne was bored out of her mind. I climbed the stairs, she finally figured was a metaphor, although the main character, Charity, literally climbed the stairs on stage whenever she was going to have sex with the middle-aged guy. The final time, though, she kicked the guy in the testicles and ran away. The lights dimmed, and the audience erupted into thunderous applause as the cast took their curtain calls. Hated it, Anna whispered to Sin. How many ways can you spell pretentious? Okay, I'm hearing this. I'm seeing you. I am understanding. This is goddamn Verity. Not Verity. This is Credence? This is Credence. That old Milfy McMilf. Ugh. God. Ew. That's dark romance. That's gonna make her $1 billion. She's gonna be a $1 billion writer in the 2020s. I believe in it. I think Tabitha's dating Scott, the unrequited love that's no longer an unrequited love. They're like, oh my God, did you love my play? And they're like, I've never seen anything quite like it before. Tabitha's getting a number of screenplay deals, TriStar, New Line, even Miramax. Every studio sent a rep to see my play. I just signed with Paradigm. It's wild. How about you, Anna? Yale. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that, Scott recalled, looking past her. Damn, there's Fisher Stevens. He's got some killer tie stick. I'll be right back. So Tabitha asks Anna what she's going to study at Yale, and she says creative writing. Gasp. She's never thought that. The words that come out of her mouth shocked her. She'd always said classic literature. Why had she said that? Was it Tabitha's success? Was it being shunned by Joyce Maynard's crowd at the party? Was she in fact simply jealous of everyone? You? I write. You? Tabitha asked, sounding incredulous. I write. Tabitha cackled like the Wicked Witch of the West and ran her fingers through her short cropped hair. Oh, I guess it's a hobby thing for you. That's kind of cute. It's not cute. Anna felt her fist start to clench, but willed herself to stop. I can really write. If you say so. How are the airheads on the West Coast? I heard you were out there. Before she could reply, Sin jumped in. Make sure you clear your throat. I never realized what a patronizing little bitch you are, Tabitha. Also, your place sucks. So enjoy your ebriant rocket ride while the public is delusional enough to provide the fuel. Fuck you, jealous cow. Tabitha snapped back. Oh, that's fresh, Sin sneered. And by the way, your boyfriend is horrible in bed. Of course, if you haven't figured that out yet, you're probably just as bad. Let's go, Anna. You can forget about hooking up with Pierre in France, you skag. Tabitha yelled after them, her face scrunched tightly as an artichoke heart. They stepped out of the dim theater and hit the Chelsea sidewalk, where they were instantly assaulted by the heavy, humid night air, but Anna felt fantastic as they walked together towards 6th Avenue, where they could easily catch a cab uptown. You are amazing, she beamed at Sin. Always have been. No one gets away with dissing you in front of me. Anna felt a lump rise in her throat. She would never have another friend like Sin. Never. I was just thinking. You're more of a sister to me than my sister. Oh, God, you're getting all maudlin on me. I love female friendships. It's my favorite part. They're all... She's like, oh, my God. She's like, oh, my God, let's go to a club. And she's like, I don't really want to. Anna hadn't told Sin about what had happened at the Met with Logan, and she wasn't sure why, unless she was being in New York had returned her to form. She was a private person in an age of living an unedited life. She couldn't understand her friends who need to broadcast everything about themselves to anyone who might possibly take an interest. Like the big book said, there were things that were public and things that were private. It made sense to know the difference. Of course, she'd tell Sin eventually, just not right now. I'm really not up to the Pyramid Club. I'm gonna head home. You're so boring. But even as she said it, something like sadness flittered across her perfect brow. Hey, we'll always be best friends. Even when I'm tasting every vintage ever produced in France and you're in Yale's ivory tower being boring, right? They stopped at 6th Avenue and waited for the light to change. This was a part of town Anna rarely came to, a mix of hardware stores and supply shops, and the occasional restaurant praying desperately for gentrification to arrive. There was little pedestrian traffic to save for a woman with matted gray hair, wheeling a shopping cart with the words, with her worldly goods, which included a MacBook swerved around them. Always, Anna promised. I'll be back in New York in a week and a half, remember? I'll see you before I leave for New Haven. Best friends forever, she whispered, feeling the whisper veer dangerously close to a choke. Forever, Sin whispered back. If she sounded like she was 8 years old, Anna didn't care. She was pretty sure her best friend didn't care either. Ugh. God damn it. Friendship. So, Anna, driven by spite, is like, I can write. And she gets a wild hair in her ass to write what she knows. She writes about her senior year, an untitled screenplay. Eduardo now has to convince Sam that he was not with Giselle in New York on purpose, and that they can't share a room because he's here on business. She was supposed to meet Eduardo at 1:30. At 12:45, she left the world of the Twilight Zone and headed into the humid New York summer heat. Sam decided to wear another new outfit she had acquired, an Anne French Emot's vintage-inspired white blouse, skirt, and jacket combination she had purchased on a whim at Darling. But she hadn't walked more than 100 feet before it was sopping with perspiration, and she felt her hair, which had been newly blown out at a John Frieda salon, start to superglue itself to the nape of her neck. Dee calls and is like, oh my god, we're in Hawaii. We're still a part of the plot. Don't worry. We're still here. Don't worry. And you know what? I won't worry about you, girl. Sam decides not to tell Dee about anything that was going on, other than to be like, I'm so happy for you, Dee. I'm so glad you're having a good time. Sam goes into this new restaurant that was recently opened. She orders at the bar to get a mojito. I used to go, oh my god, why does no one check any of these girls' IDs? When I looked baby-faced, I got checked. Now that I generally look like an adult, but I wouldn't say I look 40, which is the age where they start, cutting off. Oh, yeah. They just don't check your ID. They do not care about the DEA. They do not care about the feds. They do not care. They're like, you walked up here with enough confidence. I do not care. Slay. She froze. Behind the bartender was a classic bar mirror. She could see the entire restaurant without turning around. The place was incredibly busy, with practically every table filled. There was an empty seat at one two-seater table close to the window facing the street. You know what? Before the two words were out of her mouth, Sam dismissed all the cockamamie rationality theories and landed on the most rational one. Giselle was here for a reason, because Sam was here now. Send it over to the chick with the dark hair by the window in 5 minutes. Très bien. The bartender nodded. Hola, Griselda. ¿Qué has, chiquita? Sam's slang was perfect. Giselle turned to see who was calling. Sam saw the look of shock when she realized who it was. Samantha! Huh! Sam whirled. Eduardo was cutting across the restaurant towards her, apparently coming back from the men's room. She's like, fuck you, asshole. I don't have time to listen to this. How I gaslight myself into believing that that you are cheating on me and that you're going to break up with me all the time? Yes. But am I right this time? Also, yes. Fuck your chicken strips. Bye-bye. She runs out of there. We pick up with Cammy and Ben, who get Juan Carlos signed to the agency. It doesn't matter because it doesn't work out. Don't worry, it fails. But it really shows the lengths Cammy is willing to go to make this work and get this off the ground. This is her bar too, and she believes in it. And also, it gives her a chance to really cozy up to her dad. We get to see Clark as less of a demanding, braying asshole and more of a guy who gets fucking results. Other people could stand to learn from him. Hi, girl. Hi, beautiful. You want to hang out?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
Oh god, she's got claws in me. So Cammy goes to the club to check on to see what's up, and there's been a leak. Ah shit, we're not gonna be able to get anything done. All the contractors leave because they're like, we are not disaster. We are gonna leave. John Garlows comes up and is like, haha, I just got a call from the Russian mafia and they said I gotta get the fuck out of here and go DJ with them. So that's what I'm gonna do. Ta-ta for now, bye-bye. And as Cammy's like, we are up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. I'm sorry. I know. You love reading. She loves literature. She thinks she can read. They get it fixed, and then they talk to Cammy's dad, who Ben's like, your dad's better than my dad. My dad's an asshole who wouldn't give me $1 million. And he's like, we will get some models up in this bitch. We'll get some art school kids. We'll get some people who want to get good, who want to get some good publicity. Yeah. Who want to get some good publicity. Yeah. To come and put this club back together. Charity. And they agreed to donate a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of time. And they're going to be working with college kids. And they're going to get on the local news. It's all going to be promo. Promo's the name of the game. My executive producer is really in a mood today. So Anna and Logan go on a little walkie walk, going to eat some street dogs elsewhere. They run into some people who are from their past, some waspy wasp types. Some other time then. Kisses to your mother, darling Anna. Marina let her Dove Gray Prada pumps carry her away from the table. As she did, Logan tossed some money on the table and rose. Let's get out of here. His face was grim. Are you mad about something? Anna asked, stretching her long legs to keep up with the stride. Her and her world of hers. You see what the president demands? You mean the world we grew up in? It's like she fits the mold exactly. There was a time Anna knew when she fit that mold too, but 8 months in California had changed her, she'd hoped. I don't think where you're from makes you who you are. Not completely, anyway. Anna. Logan shoved his hands deep into his pockets of his ancient khakis, and they stared up the stairs to the Riverside Drive. I hope not. My father went to Harvard, his father went to Harvard, and all I ever heard my whole life is, when you go to Harvard. He captured her hand as they reached the sidewalk. I've done what's expected of me my whole life. Anna nodded silently, knowing exactly what he meant. They walked to Amsterdam, where there was a street scene to watch every night. Just two elderly women, blah, blah, blah. I thought we'd talk during dinner, Logan suddenly began in a low tone, but we better do it now. I have something to tell you. Okay, go on. She was probably still freaked out about what she said at dinner, the plans for their relationship. She blurted out of the window without really thinking. I really like you, he'd say, but I'm just not really ready for that type of commitment. And how could she have ever thought differently after just a week? I'm not going to Harvard. You're what? You're what? I'm not going, he repeated. I've been thinking about it for weeks, and then I went to the reception and couldn't find the enthusiasm I'd been hoping for. But it was just a cocktail party for the incoming freshmen. It wasn't actually like being at Harvard, Anna exclaimed. I need some time to think. St. Paul's, then Harvard, then grad school. I feel like I'm driving a car 90 miles an hour and I don't know where. I don't know where. Anna's throat tightened. She'd already pictured them together in New Haven or Cambridge, even though she knew it was too soon to really talk about it. It felt all too natural that they'd continue to see each other once they were at school. It didn't have to mean they were a couple. It just thought that going off to Yale made so much bearable to her. So much more bearable. That's what she thought about going to college? That she needed someone to make it more bearable? What if he felt about Harvard the same way she felt about Yale? Yet she couldn't imagine simply blowing it off as he had, because without her plan of going to college, she had no clue what she wanted to do. I'm sorry if I didn't seem enthusiastic about what she said at dinner. I would have been, you just caught me off guard. I wasn't ready to tell you I wasn't going. Maybe you should think about it more. Logan shook his head. All I've been doing is thinking about it, and you know what? I'm going to do instead. What? She was unable to contain her curiosity. What did people like her and Logan do if they didn't go to college? Go to Bali. My dad just opened a new eco resort there, a new hotel. And what exactly will you do at your father's new eco resort in Bali? Anna could hear the edge in her voice, which wasn't fair, but she couldn't help herself. It wasn't that she just suddenly felt abandoned. She cared about Logan, and maybe it could develop into something more. Evidently, he didn't feel the same way. They'd just been old neighbors hanging out for a few days. Think, he rubbed his temples. Just be free, clear to think. Figure out what I want. Okay, she replied softly. It wasn't like she could talk him out of it. Logan put his hand on her cheek. These past few days with you have been amazing, Anna. I want you to know that. Her answer was very short and very honest. For me, too. Do you want to go hang out with your mom? Everything has fallen apart. All of our characters, except for Cammy and Ben, are at their lowest. Anna and Sam come back to LA. They've sulked for a couple of days, but now it is time for the opening of Bye Bye Love. She's still lamenting Yale. Cammy and Ben are successful, and it's looking like they're pretty cozy, and Anna is just... So, what did I say at the beginning of this? This is an exercise, and when Anna follows her base instinct, which is to do what her mother says, she always ends up hurt. Sam runs into Parker and Citrone. Parker has gotten a role in another movie, thus jumpstarting his career, and he's so happy to see his old buddy. It's like nothing even happened. She got away type shit. They could have just been together, but no. Citrone, a character thought up out of God knows where, all of a sudden. Ben has some DJs going. They even get Beyonce. Pre-Single Ladies Beyonce. I think this would have been 4? This would have been BJ era. Just loud. Just loud ass Beyonce. DJing at their show, which I think would be so chic. I feel like Solange would be a really fun DJ to have at a party. Anna and Sam decide, they look at each other, see how miserable they are, and they decide to leave. And how much she thinks she's gonna miss it. I'll miss it, Anna said simply. Funny, isn't it? How skeptical I was when I got here in January, and now, Sam laughed. Now you've been Californicated. You thought it wouldn't happen, and it happened. Watch out. Next thing you'll be buying a Beamer. Doubtful. A Prius, maybe, if I were to. I'm looking for Samantha Sharp. Now, what do you think it is? It's obviously Eduardo. What do you think it is? Eduardo gets a courier to bring Sam some sketches and a book of designs from Giselle that were wedding dresses. Books and books and books, as he was going to design a wedding dress for her for their wedding. Dearest Samantha, you are a difficult girl to surprise, but when work took me to New York, I saw my opportunity. It was the hardest thing in the world to take my leave from you, to not invite you to come with me, yet I knew in New York I would be able to accomplish my mission. And then there you were. Part of me was cheering, part of me was cursing, because I knew Gisela would be in New York for a workshop at the Fashion Institute, and my plan was to enlist her help for your surprise. But once you showed up, it made my plans so much harder to pull off. Unfortunately, you saw her and jumped to an obvious but wrong conclusion. Somewhere in your family tree, there is a hot Latin blood of this, I am certain. I was with Giselle for only one reason, to consult on ideas for the design of your wedding gown. Her work is in front of you now. If you are reading this letter, it is not that you must wear one of these gowns because the bride should always choose her own wedding dress, and you are not a girl to be dictated to, but in my mind, I saw your beauty in these gowns and described my ideas to Gisela. What you see before you is the beauty I see every time I look at you. I've been trying for a week to get this explanation to you, but sadly you wouldn't take my calls, and when I came to your house, your father's guards told me I would not be permitted near you. I am hoping very much that this will reach you tonight at your friend's party, and that you will find it reasonable explanation for my behavior. If only I could explain away all the pain I must have caused you. I'm at my condo now. Come to me if you can. Your Eduardo. I might glaze over it in the final book because the final book is crazy. But Giselle's gay. That's kind of what we gather from here. Giselle was never a threat. She's batting for the other team. I'm sorry, I still don't believe it. I'm sorry. Not only do I not believe that you weren't being fishy with this woman, I do believe you weren't being fishy with this woman. However, I don't believe that you weren't trying to design her wedding dress. This man is controlling. This man is ruled by love, and love makes him do crazy, controlling things. Similar to Ben, all these men are like paternalistic weirdos that I cannot get down with. Anna's like, go to him. Go to your Eduardo. So she goes, leaving Anna alone. And Anna's like, well, I gotta leave. Well, you know. Oh, hold up. She's outside of Bye Bye Love with a capital L swirled around her. The clothing, the clothes, the celebrity, the gawkers, the deafening music spilling from the club, the searchlights illuminating the night sky. She didn't really feel as though she was part of it. She didn't know where she belonged anymore. Anna? The familiar voice came from behind her. The hair stood up on the back of her neck as she turned towards the voice. But, what are you doing here? Zarek, what are you doing here? Of all of her usual poise fell away, and there wasn't a damn thing she could do about it. For a moment, all you need to know is that I'm here. The familiar smile of Logan curled. It was really him, the flesh and blood, handsome pseudo-son of Daniel Craig. And here he was, at Bye Bye Love, not in Indonesia. He's like, I can't stop thinking about you, girl. I want you, girl. So come to Bali with me. Here is a ticket. Come to Bali with me. Whatever you choose to do, don't saddle yourself to Yale just yet. Come to Bali with me. I'm giving you the life raft of this. He continues to reference things from her childhood, which Anna should leave childish things behind, but I do not think she needs to be running towards Ben. He gives her the ticket and says, come to Bali. And she goes, no, I can't. I don't want to. How could she go to Bali? I wish I was the kind of girl who could just say yes, Anna began. In the movie version of my life, I'd get on that plane with you, but in real life, whose real life is it? Logan pressed. You can do anything you want to do badly enough. Could she? It made perfect sense in theory, but in the real world, I'm sorry, but I just can't. Boo! The plot. So, because she keeps trying to do what her well-bred life gives her, it slaps her in the face. Her literal thought was, well, when in doubt, do what Jane Percy would do. And she goes off to find the host to be like, oh my god, I had fun. Great. It's great. Have fun. Anna gave the two of them a little wave as she hoped it wasn't too rude, then edged towards the dancing crowd. At this point, people were getting down, not just on the dance floor, but any place they could find a little space. It took 5 full minutes to go 50 feet, but finally she was at the end of the short corridor that led to the little theater. There, she stopped dead in her tracks. She found Ben, and she found Cammy, and they were straight ahead in a lip lock to end all lip locks. There was friendly kisses, there were romantic kisses, and there were kisses that were just raw sex. This was a raw sex variant times infinity. I hope this emotional beatdown teaches Anna to stop doing things that her mother would do. That it doesn't end well for her, and she always gets her feelings hurt. Ben and Cammy, together, very together. Hey, look who's here. Ben turned around, his eyes registering only mild surprise when he realized it was Anna. Hi. His eyes were dark and hard. Having fun? I can see I don't need to ask you the same question, Anna replied smoothly. She wasn't going to give either of them the satisfaction of seeing how much their kiss had shaken her. She felt like she had just been punched in the stomach. Be your mother. Don't let them see you sweat. She put on her best, most controlled Jane Percy smile. I just want to say goodnight and to thank you for inviting me. Best of luck with your club. I'm sure it will be a huge success. It already is. Why, thank you, Anna. She was careful to avoid Ben's eyes, so goodbye. She pivoted away, concentrating on her footsteps in the hallway, still crowded with partying club goers. So this is what it felt like to lose your first love. Bye-bye love, bye-bye happiness. She'd already known it was over, that Ben didn't want her, but that he had still had the power to hurt her after the hurtful things he had said when he had dumped her only made it worse. Anna, Ben called. She heard him, but she kept walking, wanting to get away. She heard him, but kept walking away, wanting to get away as quickly as possible. She stumbled forward, only to find her way blocked by the commotion in a concrete corridor in front of her. Someone was pushing through in their direction, and people were shouting at whoever it was to slow it down. Take it easy, dude, a male voice shouted. "Fuck you!" Another man voice shouted back, and the crowd causing this commotion broke through the crowd. His hair was short now, so that the blue star tattoo just below his right ear seemed to pulsate in the strobing lights. He moved past Anna, not even seeing her, and headed straight for Cammy. Before he reached her, Ben stepped in front. "Welcome to the party, Ad." Without a word, Adam Flood uncoiled a vicious right cross that crossed Ben squarely across the jaw. Ben, who hadn't even moved to defend himself, crumpled to the linoleum floor as Cammy started screaming, and 3 or 4 people launched themselves at Adam, tackling him to the ground. "And there's more where that came from, asshole," he bellowed. "Lots more." So, I love that. Ben deserved to get punched this entire book, and I'm glad it was Adam. Holy shit, that was good. That was very good for me. That was so good explicitly for me. So, Anna goes running through JAX to get to her flight to Jakarta, Indonesia. She stepped onto the jetway, the last passenger to board the enormous roaring plane, and heard the heavy security doors shut and lock behind her. She wasn't even sure Logan was on this flight, but there was no turning back. There was only forward into the unknown. And that's where we end. Frankly, the end, part 1. Because part 2 is fully continuation of the story. There's no resolution here except for with Sam's story, because, and even so, because we are continuing on into the new year. Oh my god. I really feel like I've gotten back on track with getting these done, and I can't wait to finish this with you next month, January 2026. California Dreaming. We will end the year of the A-list, kind of. Either way, one way or the other, we're done. Yeah, fuck Ben. Go Adam. Cammy is what Cammy is, and who can deny her that? That's crazy, though. I just think it's so interesting that's like, anytime Anna's like, I need to channel my mother, it backfires on her. It leaves her emotionally cold and stiff and stilted and unsatisfied. And I just don't think she is there yet to really unpack how much her mother's lifestyle does not fit her want for life, and how much that's going to hurt her in the long run. But I don't know. We'll see how this all concludes in the final book next month. Oh. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Megan_blush_. We'll be around being cute. All right. Bye, guys.